across both the United States and Canada, but we're down to 2 here in Columbus, Ohio. A live look at the Belong Gaming Arena here in Polaris, on the north side of Columbus. And, well, the expectations at the beginning of the year were high for both of these two teams. And, boy, had they ever provided to meet and possibly at times exceed those expectations. But, of course, it wouldn't be a Season 4 finale if it wasn't for our top 2 best teams making it all the way to the Grand Finals. So my whole shift would be proper. And, my goodness, after the affair that we just saw in the winners' finals between both of these two teams, you date it back to the history that they put together during Stage 2. Gloves are off. It's just time to spar.
It's all come down to this. Through a multitude of different other tournaments, you even heard with that interview that we had with Mystic earlier on, this isn't the first Grand Finals that this team has faced off against each other. This isn't the first time this weekend that these teams have faced off against each other. If you're just not joining us, this has the frame up to absolutely go the distance between these two.
But with that said, of course, Northwood having just won the winners' finals, this is a double best-of-5 format here in the College Con. So with that said, it would have to be 2 best-of-5 wins from Bay State. And I think the biggest thing is you kind of try to pick apart differences. It's hard to put a thumb on one thing in particular. So as we get ready to go, it's about time to bring our teams up and onto the stage, out of the winners' bracket, into the Grand Finals out of Midland, Michigan. It's the Northwood College Timberwolves.
Not necessarily in a position to try to fly at this either, because you still have Radial on top ring, who will find 2.
Goes for the fast defuse. Radial gonna get one shot in, knows to check the bomb right away. Is he gonna check it fast enough? But the bigger problem here is that it's 26-22.
We rock down all of that second corridor plus that B lanes, and now you're messing with high ground positioning here from Bing, just trying to finesse their life.
Here before you can consider getting to the 7th. Oh, big double for Infinite up top.
We're all looking for that rotation, looking to find themselves on site, but Infinite has something to say about it.
Up and you gotta turn around. If you're Talon, you're gonna get shot in the back. Fame able to get one, gets tagged up. Can he get away with his life? He can get away with a double.
He dared to really follow through with them, to hold down that side, get the trades off with them, and even then, that's a huge choke off for St. Clair.
Although our reigning champions school-wise are no longer here, there is still the ability for one of our players at the venue to go back-to-back as a collegiate champion. Looking mostly at Chris Radial. He was part of that Ottawa squad that did win against their counterpart school, which, believe it or not, was what Fame was on. So now they're combined. They have Bacon Infinite with them, and after the winners' finals, they have to be feeling really good about their odds here in this matchup.
I don't know how you wouldn't be able to feel pretty darn good about yourselves going in towards this entire series. Throughout the entirety of the weekend, we've been talking about just how strong this team truly is. And speaking of Chris Radial, is easily one of the players that you want to highlight the most. He had a fantastic winners' final series and really cemented it with about 44 kills in total on that Bocage hardpoint.
Well, on the other side, it was the team that came with a #1 next to their name into the postseason. Out of Boston, Massachusetts, it's the Bulldogs for Bay State.
Positioning or no massive goal
For the Timberwolves over here on the beachfront, Rex has to deal with Radial inside of...
Tingly. Now the last hit for Northwood has to come through the front. Stuns to the mix, but it doesn't deter Phantoms. The scrap time, and Rex is denied instantly on the outside looking in. Druxy gets a look at Fame.
But if you're the Panthers, you need to scrap this. No, you can't scrap this, though, because Druxy can win it here.
The shot's, though, not clean. Pistol in hand, it still works. Silly will look to get a regen, a reload, and a reposition. Maybe doesn't need the whole reload. Gets a second, no problem. Has a read on where Bake is positioned. If the stun connects, Bake is in trouble! Yeah. And it's a 1v3! The first head-to-head between both of these two teams saw Search and Destroy masterclass out of Bay State. That was immediately countered, though, out of the winners' final. So what is going to be in store for us out of this four-man roster? And I'll say, we've highlighted on Silly because of the, reputability that he's been able to build over his competitive career. You know about the story between Phantoms and Rex. You've been following along with Challengers over the last 3 or 4 years. But I'll be honest, I've been most impressed with what Druxy's brought to the table this weekend. He had a great couple of years in BO4 and MW. Took the cold where you're largely off, but I'll be the first person to sign up for the Druxy fan club if he decides he wants to come back and give Challengers a go.
sign up with that too. Yeah.
All right.
Because you remember what we talked about with this Bay State roster the first time you and I casted over top of them back in Stage 1. We're like, well, how is Druxy going to fit into this roster,
absolutely.
right? Great. Just that's your one-word answer. It's just Druxy fits like a glove for this team. Can absolutely run any single route known to man. Can find himself value on the flank. Can find himself multi-kills as well. That just makes the team's job so much easier.
Hey, when you got someone who could pull the dirty work off that well, you're always going to be happy about your looks over respawns. And even at Search and Destroy, he's been able to open up a lot of space. But let's take a look to see how these two teams have fared up until this point. Because number 1 and number 2, you expect them to be incredible, and the statistics will absolutely show you that. But this is the particular head-to-head of the hard point in particular on LAN. And yeah, sure, naturally, both teams have been great when they're playing up against other teams that are not each other. The biggest thing, though, is coming off of that winners finals, even though both hard points were pretty darn close, there were some pretty notable advantages starting to crop up for Northwood's favor.
Yes, there were, and a lot of that was the explosive nature that is Radial, being able to quite literally brute force their way through the front of a lot of different hard points, really offset the tempo that Bay State were constantly trying to find for themselves. When all of that was also being said, from the longer line of sight, you can challenge it, but Fame has just been playing a little bit different as of late. It's just one of those things that you have to be very weary of if you are one of the ARs that are playing for Bay State, to be a little bit more aloof when it comes down to your timings and your angles, because Fame will be calling you out.
We'll see how things unfold, though, because as we start to feature our star student in this CCL Grand Finals, it's one of the other players that, from the other side for Northwood, hey, he really has dominated the narrative and the conversation in the first overall match. Bink was unbelievably clutch at a number of key moments to get Northwood not just a couple of key wins on hard points, but he actually locked up a couple of the maps individually as well.
It's just funny because it's like, you remember, I forget what match it was specifically yesterday. It was on a Search and Destroy, and Bink, we were just like sitting here watching, and he's on a goose egg. And all of a sudden, he finds the nastiest three-piece that we saw that entire day yesterday. And it's one of those things, again, that you never want to undermine what Bink is able to bring to the table, especially that they are having running mates in their teammates of both Radial and Fame.
Yeah.
But Bink, over the years, has obviously showcased their talents and abilities, specifically in the Search and Destroy. That's exactly what he helps out with this team.
On the other side of things, though, we've already talked a lot about how Timmy Fens has been really just a staple of what this Bay State team has been able to do on the successful fronts for not just the hard point, but like you were kind of alluding to, the Search and Destroy has also been kind of his playground, so to speak. So here is the overall head-to-head as far as how these guys have fared. Overall KDs astronomically high for the total player base that we had, and I know that you've been loving on this stat, and rightfully so. Timmy has been unbelievable in the individual gunfights, not just winning them, but also valuing his life. His non-kill percentage, or non-traded kill percentage, is extremely high at 75%.
309 over 257, 75% for 309 kills to be non-traded. That's just insane. Because, again, as an AR player that plays very, I don't want to say too stationary. Like, Phantoms always thinks about where he wants to be after the gunfight actually happens. When he gets one kill, Phantoms is immediately trying to reposition themselves, always looking for the next point of contact. That's what really does set him apart from a lot of other ARs, even down in Challengers here in the CCL. It doesn't matter. It's just the idea of what Phantoms brings to the table of a proactive AR. It just gives so much space for Bay State.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. But as you mentioned, we talked with Silly, had a chance to listen in with Mystic. How about another little look in with what's going on with some of our players that we're finding here in the Grand Finals as we were meeting up with them before the weekend had actually kicked off?
Folks, we are back at the CCL playoffs in Columbus, Ohio. I am here with Rex from Bay State. Dude, you just pulled off one of the most disgusting S&D 1v3s I think I've ever seen. Can you tell me anything about the comms at that point? Because from my perspective, you were just sprinting around the map.
No, I just kind of locked in and just did my thing and just read where they were going to be and just outplayed them. Was
the guys telling you to go after them, or you were just kind of doing your thing?
Yeah, I was just doing my thing, you know. I'm really locked in right now. I took that L pretty hard. I don't think we should lose like that, so we're going to come back here and try to do what we can.
I love to hear that, dude. So you know Northwood gets loud. You getting loud right back?
They can talk all they want, you know. This is what they need to fight for and stuff, so I don't know. I'm just going to do us and just play our game.
Love that, dude. Keep the rivalry alive. Thank you so much, man.
This is straight stone killer right there when it comes down to Rex. And I know that the stream unfortunately kind of dropped by the end of that control, but Rex was absolutely destroying people at the end of the control. Moving through patio on the offense, he found 4 non-traded eliminations. It looked like no one was shooting back versus him.
No, and even if you tried, I don't even know if you're going to be able to kill Rex. He had plot armor throughout the entirety of that Tuscan. It's just, again, he is a Swiss Army knife of a player. Ice cold as you may like it. He is going to be one of the more deadly players on this map because you never know what role he's going to fulfill because he can do any one of them.
As flexible as really any other player that happens to be here, and one of the big key successes towards this Bay State, especially looking back towards the interview that we had with Mystic saying, hey, we did need to make a couple of swap-ups. When you have the ability for someone like Rex to just immediately go between AR and SMG, no problem, that makes those adjustments so much more easy to kind of bear with you as you kind of go through the rest of that regular season. So, you know, you got to keep an eye on him. Obviously, we have so many players that we want to keep our focus on. We've already kind of labeled our star student, but let's be honest, all 8 of these players deserve all of our attention and respect as we get into this grand final. So the question will just be largely, is the favor that was just built off of the dominant win versus Ottawa for Bay State enough to carry now in to reset this bracket and possibly defeat this Northwood team in 2 sets of 5? Because one of the things we've seen from Northwood is they're willing to play anywhere.
I mean, dude, if I'm on Bay State, I am gassing up Rex for the work that he put in. So that way you make sure that that stays as far as a momentum going in towards this grand finals. Because one of the biggest problems, again, that knocked them off pace going back towards that winners finals was that Radial was that X factor. Constantly trying to find these 2 pieces and 3 pieces, never went on massive sprees, but that needs to be reciprocated on the opposite side. If it's not going to be from an AR standpoint, and Silly's not going to do it with an SMG, you know the flex player of Rex absolutely has to.
We'll see how it all unfolds and where exactly it will unfold as we're ready to go through our veto selection and getting our look at our first best of 5. Our opening hardpoint picks and bans. No Tuscan, no Bacage. It's a Gavudu pick for Northwood, rightfully so. They looked great in it yesterday, whereas Bay State have really kind of used Berlin as a main kind of proving point for their respawn. The big question, though, will be what happens here on the Search and Destroy in particular, because Desert Siege was not great for Bay State. More so enough, they're actually taking it out of the pool.
Yeah, they do not want to go back to that because it was a little bit of an unfortunate event that ended up playing out for that Desert Siege Search and Destroy. Regardless of the matter how things are going to be looked at, the Gavutu control was the one that was immediately looked at ever since the first series that Bay State played. They did not want to see that map number 3 ever again. So it's going to be a Berlin control. But it's going to be an uphill battle nonetheless because you are going up against the number 1 control team in the CCL of Northwood Esports. To get rid of the Desert Siege, you definitely love to see it. But Bay State need to continue to lean on their veteran and also just good core fundamentals if they want to be able to take maps 2 and 3 versus this very trying Northwood Esports roster. But map 1 is going to be a very interesting one.
Absolutely the case. 250 to 206 was the Berlin hardpoint. That's the only repeat we have for the respawn overall. Actually, the Berlin control was also played in their winners finals. And rightfully so, I think if you're Bay State, you give it a go again, simply due to the fact that it was a defensive masterclass for both sides until Northwood made a gut check call to kind of rotate through the middle of the map and head on over towards the more unorthodox A control point, and it worked out great for him. So as far as these first 3 maps are concerned, they've been a staple kind of for each of our individual teams. The big question will be, what does Bay State provide here for this Gavudu hardpoint? I think the big thing is after their dominance that was just showcased versus Ottawa, you have to feel really good about your expectations when it comes to matching Northwood's ability to finesse this map.
Yeah, again, when you go back and rewatch that Gavutu hardpoint, yes, Ottawa did make a lot of mistakes. We're not here to harp on that anymore. But Druxy was going insane with an SMG, and I think that's something that you can absolutely lean on going forward because, again, a rogue SMG on a map like Gavutu, albeit very difficult, continues to find a lot of success breaking and holding a lot of these hardpoints. It could be a cornerstone of success that they might need.
Here we go, ceremonious nades over the top of the AA gun. It's Rex for first blood as Bay State were able to open things up pretty darn nicely for him, at least getting into the hard point. Phantom still contesting for the back, and actually just tries to force forward. He really didn't have the ability of doing that. It's just him and Silly left against 3 different Northwood members, and Silly single-handedly takes down a double, and with the help coming from behind, that's going to be enough for Bay State to get right back on in and start generating some score.
Yeah, able to at least work their way back in. Silly's 2-piece was the catalyst for this time that is starting to go over for Bay State. They got to be looking at the rotation as well. This is the same thing that they started doing versus Ottawa. They can trust each other to be able to get those kills over by P1 because they'll send players early towards top LSC.
Silly here first. His teammates able to clean up a lot of the scrap time. Northwood able to repossess the high ground over through the top side of ring, and Fame turns that into a double. So now you've got the opportunity to reign supreme through the middle of the map, and the ARs are finding gunfights up top. It's just Rex left alive for Bay State, and as he gets cut down, all of a sudden, it's Northwood supplanting, getting onto the hard point, and a chance for them to actually fight up against the high ground play that Bay State has to make coming out of jungle.
And Fame finds himself on 5 in a row. Make that number 6. He's getting activated over by the cliff path. And we'll duck back inside of P2 and just see what hardpoint time they might be able to find for themselves. But would love some help over here for Fame. 1 kill away from getting themselves the glide bomb. Someone needs to bait for his switch so that way he can get it. But here comes the contest.
Ooh.
We'll be able to find at least one. It was actually a wallbang shot through an enemy player. Nonetheless,
wow.
Fame is just lighting things up on 8 in a row.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I thought for a second he's about to take down Phantoms as well. Just gunning everyone that crossed in front of him. Forced the team kill. Got himself to a 10-3 start. Early glide bomb earned. And just a really good setup for Northwood to kind of create alarm systems to know where exactly Fame needs to focus his attention to earn that glide bomb in the first place. So a 7-point lead unfolds, but Northwood with control over P3 early. And with that also Ring. They should absolutely know, hey, Bay State had to be playing around the backside, but spawns are actually pretty okay. Silly's in a position to work out through green. It is just down to, do you want to play around the back, or do you want to actually take over mid-ring control? Because, honestly speaking, either would be difficult to go through, but how about Infinite? A force free of his own. Has Silly dead to rights down low, and it's a killing spree for Infinite as Northwood holds.
Oh, and the potential for them to get another glide bomb is absolutely on the cards. They're reading the spawns as well. They know exactly where they need to be looking, especially with Bink, the position where they are located at. Can also take a look at the rotation going over towards 4. They're going to have a 1v1 off screen, but Infinite still putting the spree together. He's getting the kills taken away from him. Sure, Silly puts it to rest, but even still, this has been a massive rotation from 2 to 3 for Northwood.
Yeah, the thing about this, though, for Bay State is with that actually play over the backside of the exit with only really 2 players, they clean out the scrap, and they also continue to force Northwood to spawn old. So the best look now all of a sudden for Bay State to get in towards P4 and start accruing some significant time of their own. Drugsy with an AR now in hand, looking to lock down from the front. There's really not the ability for Bay State to zone off the entrance, and that might lead to Northwood actually getting on and contesting. Fame for a double as he opens up the hard point for a time, looking for a little bit of help as Silly is still watching the backside cross, but Northwood, they've done well. They're actually going to flip the spawns here on this break attempt, and they're going to get the hard point at the same moment.
Don't even need the glide bomb to do it either, Alan. 16-4 for Fame. How do you like it? Is able to help break from the front. They forced Bay State to spawn out, and that was a big 25 seconds that you know you wanted to fight for if you are Bay State, because now Northwood will be over 100 points, and they're already rotating for LSD control. Yeah, you lost Bink over by top ring, but you can have that positioning if you are Bay State. Northwood don't care. They're going to have themselves a comfortable lead to work their way across the map.
The fact that they even have a comfortable lead when Radial's 2-13 is astonishing. This goes to show the individual takeover potential for players like Fame in this title is next to nearly none, it feels like at times.
Yeah.
But Bay State, even though they miss out on a good opportunity through 4, they've got a really good setup here around the 5th. A couple of opportunities for the Timberwolves to work around towards green, try to put some pressure, and actually flip the spawns around at the same moment of doing this. So Drugsy has to hold. Radio on the break attempt, shut down. One more player up top. That's going to be big. No chance there. But finally, the overwhelming proximal spawns will get Northwood the break they're looking for.
Free control will be here. 30 seconds still left to fight over. Bay State would love to be able to have this. It's just about getting someone inside the hard point, especially because now Phantoms is able to find 2. Nice nade from Drugsy is going to be 3 dead for Northwood. Yes, they're still spawning close, but this is 20 seconds that you know you want to gatekeep them away from, and this is, again, what makes Bay State so difficult to play up against. They start heating up. They start finding these kills. Look at the early rotation as well. Not only are they soaking up scrap time, they're making sure they have power positions going into the second set.
We have to start wondering, has Northwood given Bay State an extra bit of a lifeline here off the fact that they're playing 3v4? I mean, Radial's 2-17 with 7 seconds for the hard time. Can you imagine if he was able to even be, we'll say, 0.5 KD with, we'll say, 30 seconds of hard point time? Is this map already over?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Bay State is lucky to be still in this map considering the circumstances, and all of a sudden, it's only a 25-point game, and Bay State's got good mid-map control, and they still have the ability with numbers to fight over this back 30 seconds for P1.
Oh, and Rex is going to find some damage on one player going into the second cup, but can't get up through the concrete stairs. The positional advantage needs to be turned into more hardpoint time. Radial cannot buy a 3rd kill. 2-19, not what you love to see. Bay State are bringing themselves right back into it, but just as soon as Bay State starts getting the footing underneath them, Fame again is just locking down multi-kill. It's insane to me, because if Chris Radio, again, like you were saying, is able to find themselves a multi-kill, if not a pickup, this game would be blown open.
Glide bomb here? Out of all of the places, a bit peculiar. And as Silly's going to win the scrap time fight, there's still good mid-map control here for Bay State to get into P2 quickly if they win a couple of gunfights. Infinite towards the jungle pathways actually got an MP40 in hand, looking to probably help out as Chris Radial really hasn't been able to do too much inside close quarters. And Bay State are going to use this as not just an opportunity to neutralize the hard point. They've got Drugsy hitting another route. I don't know about that glide bomb call.
Yeah, the glide bomb was only really felt like it was used for Infinite to actually get up into the cliff path for some reason, but there was no real reason to use it. What pressure were you truly being felt with? I mean, it's kind of working out because Northwood has been able to build their lead more so to be about 50 points now, as Bay State have been able to break their way back in out of 4.
The thing about that, though, is Bay State looks like they're going to be pretty darn clean on this scrap time. And Silly's opened the door to rotate through Infinite's position at backside green. He actually gets a double. And Phantoms is here to reinforce this play. Spawn is out because P2 is still active. Hold on a second. Now you kind of wish you would have had that glide bomb. Bake's going to have to try to lock this down from the back. Help from Radial over the mid. Cross. Bake for the double. He's the star student for a reason. And that will open up the door for Northwood to get back in from the front.
Yeah, and holding it from the front is a very viable strategy. But again, it's the flank that's coming around. Drugsy has been the route man all year for this Bay State roster. Is he going to get paid again? He's getting shot in the back while Northwood is still finding value on holding from the front.
Spawn's good for Bay State, but they haven't been able to get foot onto the hard point yet. Radial holding down hard point time. Here comes the Bulldogs' next push. 35 seconds to play on the hill. Fame locking down the mid cut. Bake watching a bit deeper. Good goals coming through, at least from the first of those two aforementioned players. But Bay State are looking to break. And it's looking good for it as well. Clean kill starting to come on through. Full clearance at 22 seconds. This is actually going to lead to an opportunity for Bay State to get onto the rotation with numbers. They don't have to worry about the old time. Every single kill here for Bay State will force Northwood to spawn old. Every kill is important right here.
Drugsy finds one. Bink's going to start spawning out. Look at player number 1 of Silly. He's
Oh
also
my
going to be
gosh.
able to find Infinite over by the rotation. Scrap into initial over by P3 to 4. Almost unheard of. Now you got Chris Radial that's over here. He's 6-24. He's not had a great Gavutu hardpoint so far. He needs to do something here.
Spawns aren't folding in though for Bay State. You have to win this gunfight around the back. It's all on Rex. He will fall. Northwood able to open up the hard point the hard way. Not bad whatsoever, over 200 points, and Northwood could find win condition based on a solid hold here at Radar. And you know what? Radial may have been 1-14 at one point in time, but if he can lock down Beachfront, who cares? Your team still gets the dub.
So it's going to come down to, you can still close it here if you are Northwood. Bay State have to start working their way across the beachfront, and Radial is heated up in the final hour.
Good team shots coming through. The last player that could potentially break this setup would be Drugsy by himself. He gets around the back. Nobody reads it whatsoever. So there's going to be an opportunity for Bay State to extend this map, but he's going to need help. This is still a big 15 seconds, and as he drops, Northwood should be happy to take all of this time. The thing about it is, committing to the decision to take old means you're going to be late over towards new, which means an opportunity still for Bay State to bring this back.
Nade from Rex will at least get Radial out from the hardpoint itself. Last few seconds will put Northwood up at 240. Now, you do have that little bit of a buffer if you are looking at this from Northwood's perspective to move their way across the map. Of the ARs, specifically Silly, finds himself 2. This is going to be big for Big.
Oh, no.
It actually makes the play happen. He gets the spawns in behind 3.
Silly will spawn up. He's going to give the bad news to his teammates, but he gets cut off. He can't reinforce from the front. Bay State's going to be completely trapped. You just have to win gunfights up close and personal if you're looking at Phantoms and Drugsy in particular. And they're going to give up the hard point in order to try to play for some angles, and it works out great. 3 straight kills come through for Bay State. It's a full team wipe now. All 4 members over 20 kills, and that's going to lead to Bay State extending this map a little while longer. How do you play this if you're Northwood? Do you try to take leader's advantage and play for P1? Do you try to get greedy and try to win it right here? It looks like they want to do the latter as the break attempt is coming from ship side.
Yeah, and they gave up that ring positioning, and Silly is absolutely feasting off of that as well. Bing is able to work his way in, can't sustain on the hard point, though. You have to get Silly out from this rotation. The kill will come through. Infinite finds it. Fame also able to get in, but there's not enough time to close it here.
Think about it is, look at these spawns for Bay State. They're not in a great position whatsoever. You have to clear these SMGs outside of ring, and it's just not going to happen. How has that happened for Northwood? I can tell you, it's that guy bottom left. Fame just absolutely took him to feast.
Yeah. I mean, Bink was also making big rotational plays as well. Woo, man, I'm a big Radial fan, but woo, he got carried through that map, number 1. I am not going to lie that he finally heated up there at the very end, over by that P4, locking down the beachfront, being able to find what kills that they were able to see. But, man, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Fame has to be the star player of that map, number 1, for both teams. Keep in mind, I mean, he got that glide bomb so early, so really weird call when he did use it. It kind of worked out. They built their lead up by 60. Whatever, we'll put an asterisk by it. But regardless of the matter, the pace was really starting to be felt. You know that Bay State were able to recognize Radial's not having the same explosive play. Druxy was constantly able to find these flanks, was always breaking the setups for Northwood. It needed to have an answer, and Big was that guy.
Yeah, and it really did feel like maybe, and it's hard for us to say because every time we swapped over to like an Infinite or a Big, when they had an MP40 in hand, they were already on a couple of kills, so they could have picked it up off the ground.
That's
but
right.
At the end, Radial found his majority of his kills by way of picking up an automaton. So, hey, that little late adjustment could have been enough to get Northwood over the hurdle. But boy, did Bay State have a couple of lifelines built into this first map. It's not quite enough. Good team participation from top to bottom. Nearly 2 minutes of hill time for Druxy. I'm telling you, man, as far as doing the dirty work is concerned, it's like he never left trying to pursue Challenger's career.
No, it really hasn't. I mean, even 10 of his 21 kills were inside the hard point with that 1:53 objective time. It's just impressive what Druxy is constantly being able to do for this team. It just comes down to the follow-up. Again, we always say this, that if Druxy is constantly able to find himself all these avenues, all of these different angles and timings to be able to get behind enemy lines, the front needs to have success. It just wasn't there this time around. Phantom's going 21-23. Uncharacteristic, if you ask me.
All right, well, now we head on over towards the Search and Destroy. This was the absolute thorn in the side for Northwood the first time these two teams had met in the regular season. It was a really tight set of respawns when they met in Stage 2. Bay State dominated the Search and Destroy. The opposite would have been, I think, kind of the stapled statement over the top of what happened in the winners finals with Northwood really not giving Bay State much room at all to work with. Now, granted, that was on a different map. They were playing Desert Siege.
Yep.
So what does Tuscan have to offer for us, especially considering that Bay State is rolling off of a really successful bit of clutching and icing up when they just play them off that series versus Ottawa last?
Well, you're still going to have a lot of middle-of-the-map coverage. That's going to still be a main focus. Now, the biggest difference, obviously, besides, a lot of sand between Tuscan and Desert Siege, is that you're not going to necessarily have those lockdown line of sights that we know that Phantoms does truly enjoy. So you're probably going to rely on Phantoms to either really watch the middle of the map, if not really watch the entire of the Ruins cross. But if there's one person in particular that you need to continuously be weary of, it is going to be Fame. Fame's first blood win percentage is at a whopping 66% win percentage for first blood engagements. And it's like you were just saying, walking away from that map number 1, Fame's going to be feeling pretty darn good. You need a similar performance coming out from Rex to really make sure that, hey, if 1v3s, 1v2, 1v1s end up happening, then and I think you should be okay. It's on the same map mode combination, so maybe the timings are going to work the same.
The joke we made was he was hitting for the cycle in the last Search and Destroy. 1v3, 1v2, 1v1. He just needed a 1v4 or an ace to kind of complete it. And a lot of the damage that was done by Bay State against Ottawa in that Search and Destroy was at Dylan's hands. So could he possibly have found a new home here on Tuscan to try to get Bay State back into this 1-1 series count? Or for Northwood, with already the advantage of having to play a second best of 5 at worst, they would have the ability of possibly going up 2-0 and then looking down a really favorable map mode combination of Berlin control. So it almost feels like a must-win situation. I'm not going to say it with a certain level of authority just because Bay State is capable of anything, but this is one of those you'd love to have it here and not have to reverse sweep and then win another best of 5.
We'll have to see what Chris Radial also brings to the table. Had a very lackluster performance in map number 1. Great opening engagement coming through.
That was a car 98 in range for Infinite to get Druxy off the initial, and you got to keep in mind that Druxy's always been kind of the playmaker here as far as Bay State is concerned from their Search and Destroy perspective. And honestly, this is a greedy challenge. You've already got the ability of Chris Radial to kind of watch close, and then Infinite continues to cover on the backside. 2 kills for Infinite. Rex's position is 100% known. Not going to be able to convert on the third snipe, but Rex is nowhere to go.
Just trying to finesse his life. The moment that he gets chased out from the top side of Monument, he will be scouted out. And yeah, look, we've seen Northwood play a decent amount of Search and Destroy, even throughout this entirety of the weekend. Round 1 Infinite snipe, I'm here for it. It's that wrench in the system that a lot of people probably would not expect, especially across Tuscan. A lot of people try to save that sniper for maybe a later round or two, barring a handful of players that I can think of off the top of my head. But here in the CCL, a lot of ARs like to watch over top of that line of sight. Infinite finding that first blood really put Bay State's offense on skates.
So now what? How about it? Offensive look here for Infinite with the scope. We don't often see this. Stuns down towards Monument to check to see if anyone's holding close. Not the case. It's Rex on the backside. He'll get a stun of his own, and Druxy will follow up. Good first blood, good isolation. Bay State now with numbers.
What do you even do with this if you're Northwood? I mean, Radial needs to be able to find a trade in the middle of the map. He finds some shots on a Druxy, but he's not going to be able to find the kill.
For Druxy to hold his life and then counter pre-fire is just great awareness coming through. Oh, and what in the heck is that nade? What? Where did that even come from? And why was it thrown there? The dude, Druxy, lands a Kobe if I've ever seen one. And now Fame is stuck in 1v3. Reveals his position by taking long-range shots. Pistol in hand, expects the chow, but I don't think he actually even pulled the trigger. And Druxy will finish him off, no problem.
Nah, he went for the weapon swap immediately, and then the challenge came through. Just could not get the kill. He threw that nade from the tree box on the offensive side.
Do we think that was intentional? To hit Fire Alley?
I'm a Druxy fan. I think it was intentional. Call me a bias caster. That was nuts. It's just one of those things, again, like whether it was rehearsed or not, maybe he wanted it to land in fire.
Yeah,
it's just
probably the more predictable area.
Yeah, it's just insane that it found a kill regardless. Answering back, defense for defense. Those first bloods paying dividends so far. Druxy on a 4.
It's the full ace in the last round. Silly now with the opening double. That's all through middle of the map. Bink couldn't even fire back, so now you've lost A control completely. Good response from Bink. Clears off a position towards fire. Gives Fame a chance to re-wrap back over and maybe isolate maybe a touch here, especially with nade still in the back pocket for Fame. That will be there to check to see if there's anyone on nade. Those are 2 great nades that land. Unfortunately, Druxy stays alive. The stun doesn't finish the job. And that will lead to now a 3v2 post-plant situation favoring the Bulldogs.
Fame and Bink are so isolated from one another. Fame's going to be watching the pushback. Bink's going to come back through tiles, through L.
You saw him. But loses Fame on the opposite side. Good gunfight win from Bink. But this would be a 1v3 and an ace. Sniper rifle collected, is hoping that someone's going to cross in front of him, but no such luck here. Drugsy from the behind the truck. Will call to the information. Rex will follow up, no problem. Bay State for 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate losing Fame when he did, right? At the second that Bink's trying to make that play happen, also catches Silly on the opposite side of it. That if Fame is able to win that one, obviously would have became very, very doable as far as a retake is concerned. But again, first bloods paying dividends. Who would have thought getting yourself a numbers advantage in a game mode like Search and Destroy would end up getting yourself a nice little foot forward as far as the round is concerned. Bay State going to win back-to-back there. Most importantly, keeping Druxy alive. He didn't find any kills. Yeah, he was able to find some damage, but regardless of the matter, staying alive is everything on that 4.
Quick play over towards B initially. This could lead to a mid-map wrap, though. Stuns were used to see if Bay State was going to get aggressive bottom side fire. None to be there. Help needed, though, as Radial is currently stuck, and you have to know defensively. Nades are starting to get cooked up. Can Radial stay alive? That's the real big question. Drugsy tags, but no, Radial gets out. That is massive for Northwood, looking to capitalize in the middle of the map. For them to stay alive and keep this a 4v4 is a near miracle.
Bomb carry of Infinite's going to wrap back through P5. Late rotation will be Fame from behind. He's not going to be able to see, or at least one player is, of Silly. This is a great call coming out from Bay State. Trying to wrap back over towards B. They won't be able to stop this plant, Allen, but they might be able to find an exit.
And the question will be, what does Silly do from this position once the bomb is planted? And he's actually going to re-wrap back over. Fame was waiting for him the whole time. That is just good awareness from Northwood. Drugsy responding, though. Gets into a 3v3. The retake, though, is going to have to all be from the front. And look at the guns. They're already up watching this. Big gunfight win for Rex. I'm telling you. He's hitting a little bit different. Has a good idea as far as the flank possibly coming from the backhand side. But time has started to become a problem here. Phantoms and Rex now moving forward, looking to clear as they don't know if anyone's playing topside radio. Fame from the back. Able to at least throw some shots one direction, and then the final cleanup. No problem there. Good post-plant setup for Northwood.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, again, if that's, in my opinion, all of the back end of Fame, who did not move. 3 players, his entire squad, moved over towards the B bomb site. And Fame, he just sat there. He just waited, making sure there has to be, surely there's somebody that's still lurking over by you, over by Ruins. And lo and behold, the second he drops out of the window, he sees Silly trying to climb back up 2 bunks, being able to find those kills and then conveying the information to Infinite where the last player of Dylan Rex was located at. 0-3 start for Phantom so far. Spray is coming through on the opposite side. That is Fame. That's a great time to find your first kill.
Interestingly enough, Bay State looked like they actually still want to play over through field side, and that's just where the Northwood defense is existing. Think for one, good crossing help. And man, that's peculiar. You open up the middle of the map completely. Bay State still forcing the gunfight through, and the pistol comes out. Now a 1v1. Infinite off the regen. He's actually behind the last player in Phantoms, but
He doesn't know.
neither of them have any idea of where they possibly could be. Phantoms is still thinking that Infinite's going to check over the top of Monument. Not the case. Doubles back just a touch, but Infinite is already on his way to kind of proactively clear out towards B.
And the information isn't mutual either. The bomb is not going down. Phantoms needs to collect this and needs to maneuver with it sometime. Starting to run out of time. You would think that this only has to be an A committal. If it's going to be able to clear out the B bomb site and he's going to immediately try to wrap back over towards A, there's no way that Phantoms can rotate back over towards B.
This is a really heads-up play from Infinite. He's going to wait here probably until about 10 seconds on the clock, and then he'll have the ability to quickly re-wrap back over to A and maybe even catch Phantoms on rotation. But Phantoms is not waiting for the last second. Gets the plant off, and he's going to choose to play right on top of the bomb. Just on the backside of the Monument. Infinite's going to clear the first post-plant, clutch up spot, and topside fire. 2 weapons for the job. And now he's actually going to get full clarity over what's happening over towards Well. He should have a pretty good idea that Phantoms is on the backside of this play. Phantoms hasn't moved an inch yet. So now it's on the Infinite. Does he get the check? He does, but ooh! Phantoms just too quick on the trigger. Clutches up the 1v1. Bay State back up 3-2.
There's that little bit of an extra off the edge. You see right there, he just moves slightly to the left. I mean, there was a moment in time where I truly thought he had the snap right into the corner. Phantom's just moving just a bit outside. Forced out the opening shots to miss. The trigger finger absolutely there for Phantoms to be able to clutch up that round. Well, you figured his cousin did it enough in the last series. Might as well have your turn to eat. This is his first 2 kills in the entire game, by the way. 3-2. It's going to be a split offensive attempt here for Northwood, but don't expect them to go towards B. They're mostly going to be looking for mid-control or maybe trying to catch a player off guard if they try to push through.
The thing that's different this time is, last time we saw this for Northwood, those nades were used to scope out as anyone playing forward for Bay State mid-map. And when the answer was no, they tried to take it themselves and it didn't work out for them. So now that they've got no information towards members defensively in the middle of the map, they're looking to flood to Drugsy's direction. He's got an automaton in hand this time around, no SMG. Phantoms, that's first blood over towards topside church. Drugsy needing to get the reload off, and Infinite actually considered a potential plant, but he's going to need a little bit of help and a little bit more clearance before that's really going to be allowed to happen.
Fame's going to be able to answer back on towards one, and they're just going to flood him out of the back. That's a great push when you're thinking about it. Very scary, because if Infinite dies there, the bomb gets dropped, but finds a kill, keeps numbers.
And the thing about this is Bay State can either make, they just have the luxury of making decisions. Have we rotated back? Are we trying to check for you on the cross back over to B? You just don't know if you're Bay State. So it'd have to be a 1v3 for Silly. Bomb now planted for Northwood. Oh, and Silly knows where Infinite's position, but misses an opportunity to keep him trapped in the corner. So now everything resets. 18 shots left in this clip. And the reposition out of Infinite is going to essentially allow an opportunity for Fame just to throw shoulders, and Infinite would follow up later. You have to check this. They haven't checked in a minute. There's the full check. Silly gets the first 1v1. Still tons of time remaining. Here comes the play through the church side alley. The pistol is out for Silly, but the shots do not connect. And Northwood tie us back up at 3.
Almost looked like he was going to at least try to go for the melee. He was so close to being able to get it. Yeah, Silly was just straight running at him. Yeah, he had the pistol, but he was looking to at least throw fisticuffs there. Big answer back round for Northwood. Absolutely needed that. Bay State have been walking away with really good first bloods and have been turning that into constant round wins. So it's nice, again, the call comes through for Northwood just to have those 3 players that are down there over by column, just push through, make sure that they have the numbers to get that bomb planted.
Oh, great opening shots out of Bing, just predicting the play through elbow. And look at the follow-up. Radial, who's, by the way, had a very slow start, could possibly be clutch at the right moment to get an advantage. Takes down Drugsy. And even though the kill happens in traded form, I was about to say, Bay State has really no room to work with. Infinite still sniping topside field. You trust that he's going to get information and call for help if needed. And that means that Bink and Fame can play this as a duo.
Maybe watch the stairs for a little while longer. Phantoms. Clutched up at least 1 round previously, but you have so many angles you have to cover. You know Infinite might still be sniping, but he's giving it up entirely. And here comes that duo you were talking about, Alan. Phantoms, wise enough. I'd actually go for the full wrap.
I think in Phantom's mindset, he's thinking, can I find a way to force a 1v1 with Infinite? He would have to hit a miracle shot. This is the chance topside field. Now the duo of Northwood is back, and they've reclaimed over to A. And look at reposition. Sniper out, but no, tags are only good for a little bit of damage. And no chance to get back over towards the A site. It's a great first blood for Bink. And again, even though Radial, he only gets 1 kill, it's his first in the map. The fact that you pushed Bay State all the way back to their spawn, it just gave you the entire map to play with if you wanted it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because, you know, if Chris ends up finding more kills, obviously that would be fantastic. Yeah, but, like, he at least confirms the information. It's like, hey, everybody's still back here. They had to respect Infinite off the snipe, and then Chris is able to find at least another, and it just all just kind of topples over for Bay State. And, yeah, there's just no way Phantoms is going to be able to find themselves all those kills. He had no immediate information besides just the first. Infinite with a snipe again.
Whoa.
Just barely able to get that shot off right behind Rex.
Dude, Infinite's accuracy with this Car 98 percentage-wise
Scares
has to
me.
be so high. He's not missing shots. Silly though off the flank opportunity, maybe to double up, and sure will. Another lifeline for Bay State off of the cheeky play from Silly. But has anyone locked down where Fame is repositioned to? Silly's going to show himself. Now the information is there. Nade cooked. That's going to go Silly's direction. It actually hits him right in the chest, but the kill's not going to show up, and the counter nade is good. We continue to go back and forth as Bay State tie us right back up at 4.
Yep. 2 rounds were answered back with a one of their own coming out from Bay State. And again, it just mostly comes down to those trades for Silly. You know, shot at least one in the back, was able to get the transfer over towards the next. Just need that immediate trade to come all the way through. And, I mean, Fame had a really good opportunity. It's just so tough. Again, you know, we call that the Godhead eat over across the Ruin side for a reason. Very, very difficult to be able to find that kill on the Silly. And immediately gets looked at by Phantoms. Offensive round of attempt coming through for Bay State. They are stacking towards the north side.
I can't believe that they're still going to give Infinite a look at this sniper rifle play. He's still holding on to it. Radial once again watching the close cross. Is going to wait for a call out on Infinite. This time it's an AR for Infinite. No sniper rifle this time. Nades are going to work out, though, for Bay State. Just littering the backside of Fields. That'll work out for first blood. Now it's on to Radial. You've had a bad map so far. We haven't really talked about it too much, but you have to pop off here. He's going to try to join Bink to try to clear out the mid side of the elbow, and it only works out for 1 elimination. That's not going to be enough, and Radial's now stuck. Good awareness from Druxy. And once again, it's Fame for a 1v multiple.
He's going to drop down, at least I think a test spot. Try to put themselves in a position, maybe try to stop that plane from coming through, but doesn't like it. Goes for the wrap around the opposite side, and Bay State have read this somewhat. I thought that Fame was almost going to come back through the opposite side, but he's about to run into a lot of players. Finds one. Had a real good look at the second, I'm not going to lie. If that was an RK7 from BO4, he probably finds both those kills.
How about it, though? Bay State, not just back into this map. They've taken a bit of a hold on it. It's match point. Bay State looking to get us back to a 1-1 map count. What does Northwood want to put together here on this next offense? For a lot of people out there, I think you have to see something out of Radial. If you're going to continue to run an MP40 and try to get aggressive, you need to find an entry somewhere.
Just need some sort of response. Offensive round. Going to have a lot of focus over towards this A lane. They're going to leave Radial behind to watch the push out of P5, but it's Rex for first blood. Takes down Fame.
And the thing about this is Northwood, for the first time, are not really even going to bother checking for any playthrough mid-map. So for the first time, Druxy is actually very far forward up into you. Radial, has he maybe found an opening? Not so much. Now he's stuck. Has to force a gunfight. Still, he's not going to let him get through Church. Decent trade attempt out of Infinite. But they're still looking for kills here. This is looking to catch Bay State on rotation to re-wrap back to B. And honestly speaking, Infinite's in a really good spot if Bay State goes this direction. Bink's watching the mid-side cross, and they're going to funnel him right in Infinite's direction. He just needs to win this 1v1. Rex just on the outside. Sliding around on Bink Falls. And Infinite's check not going to work out. Bay State finish off map number 2. Ties us up in the series 1 apiece.
Putting on that masterclass of Search and Destroy again. It is just one of those things that we know that this team can absolutely showcase. You go back to the first time that these two teams face off against each other in stage number 2. The Search and Destroys were a masterclass coming out from Bay State, and just being able to lock down those line of sights, being able to fish out those timings. Druxy again being able to be an absolute nuisance, just always changing their positioning, always changing their timings of what they're looking like from the offensive and defensive side, what their rollouts are going to be looking like, but it has to be talked about. Radial needs to turn it up.
Yeah.
Walking away from this break in between 2 and 3, Radial needs to figure something out.
Yeah, for the fact of the matter is, Bay State, they made all the correct adjustments and adaptations needed to try to keep Infinite a little bit at bay, right? I mean,
Sure.
His sniper rifle was a major problem, and you're able to put together 3 rounds in a row there at the end to really negate any presence that Infinite possibly could have. So here's your final stats for map number 2. And Radial, I mean, 478 damage. It's just not going to cut it. Sure, he essentially single-handedly helped win one of the 2 rounds, or one of the 4 rounds that Northwood had put together, but we just need to see more out of the main SMG for Northwood.
Yeah, no, we really do. And it's still, I think the most alarming thing about it all is that when you go back and you scroll back through the VOD and you watch Winners Finals, specifically even through the Search and Destroy, and through all maps, truly, Radial was always just putting themselves in a situation where they were always walking away with multi-kill after multi-kill. And to not see that come through, it's really hindering what Northwood could actually do.
We'll see. That's map 2. 1-1 the current count, and our first best of 5. Bay State need to win 2 more, and we've got 2 Berlins coming up where they possibly could extend this grand finals to a second best of 5. But you got to get through the Berlin control first and foremost, where Northwood has been so lights out. We'll send things to a break, come back and frame it up on the backside. Welcome to the Belong Arena, or welcome back to the Belong Arena here in downtown Columbus, Ohio. Grand Finals underway, a 1-1 map count as Bay State are able to even things up after a 6-4 win of the Search and Destroy. Big shout-outs to the arena. The venue it's been just an unbelievable affair. I know a lot of people have got a chance to get a look at it through the Pro-Am, but facilitated the players and everything has been incredible, and it couldn't be more of a central location, especially for these 2 squads. Les mentioned kind of in the intro, Northwood coming out of Midland, Michigan, and Bay State as located in Boston, Massachusetts. A really awesome central location to get all the teams from across this CCL LAN involved.
Yeah, man. It's just really, really awesome to be able to see, not only just for these 2 teams, obviously it's the road and the quite literal map of how they got here, but also for all the teams. 8 total teams across North America as a whole. We had a team from Canada, St. Clair. Yep. I made sure. See you guys. That all just came down to Columbus, Ohio for such a fantastic weekend. You could not have asked for a better event. This experience has been awesome.
It hasn't even just been the players themselves. We've had a lot of people come out and just drive to get here to just enjoy the event as either CCL former player or as just a general enthusiast of the scene overall. So it's been a lot of fun. But with that in mind, it's time to knuckle down as we have a 1-1 map count here, the first best of 5 as mentioned, and we're going to a double dose of Berlin, starting off with the control first and foremost. And this is where things really need to be picked up here for Bay State, because the thing about it was a defensive masterclass in the first 3.5 rounds with this Berlin control until Northwood read 1 vulnerability and turned that into an offensive win to get them a 3-1 win when they played in the winners finals.
Yeah, it was Bink, wasn't it, that ended up fishing out that one opportunity to be able to get all the way inside of the office, and then they pushed that pressure all the way through the double steps. From there on out, all of Northwood understood, okay, we can turn this into min-map pressure. We can then convert this into 2 ticks of progression. And then they found so many kills that Bay State just could not answer with.
Yeah. And just on top of that, look, for Northwood, going into the postseason, they were holding an average win differential on control of plus 2.9. So, I mean, that would mean every 10 times they played control, they only gave away 1 round. Stupid. And most of those numbers hold true here in the postseason.
It's true.
It really is on the onus here of Bay State. If you're trying to get this to a second best of 5 sooner rather than later, you almost feel like you have to win this map 3, map 4 combination of Berlin's.
Don't want to sit here and harp on it as well, but another big key success for that winners finals was from player number 5, Chris Radial. Needs to come back from this break strong. Will be an offensive push first and foremost for Bay State, going for A, or going for B, excuse me.
A bit of pressure showcase, though, by Silly. It's actually going to get the defense pretty planted here over towards A, but finally they get the clearance they need. Rex good for win A, needs to take the gunfight versus Radial, and it's a big gunfight win as the first tick of progress is locked in at B. More to come, and nearly more to fall, but Dylan will be traded away. Contest coming through, Infinite on the recovery as he gets the opening double. That's enough for Bay State to get pushed back at Northwood to try to fight over this defensively.
Yeah, especially with Phantom still finding kills. He actually has to give up that B lane for the time being to come help out inside of the zone itself, because Fame is going rogue. He's got a submachine gun, and he might single-handedly have caused more than enough ruckus for the rest of the numbers for Northwood to come back in and stop that second segment.
I'm telling you, man, Fame is back on his Modern Warfare self. Moving darn quick. And then the shots doesn't miss a single bullet. Oh, my goodness! What just happened to Phantoms? Are we even allowed to show that on broadcast? He just got absolutely destroyed. And all of a sudden, Northwood are up 4 lives. You only have to kill off another 40 seconds worth of time. And there's just no entry for Bay State.
Fame on 6. Would be massive to get a glide bomb going into the next few rounds, and wouldn't you know it, find Silly from window to opposite window. Oh man, you're down to 20 seconds remaining. Bay State got to battle out of the spawn and get on one of these zones.
Yo, somebody trade this guy. 8 in a row. Oh, Kevin! 9-1! Double-digit spree! And Fame continues to dominate this grand finals.
Oh, it's just Fame's world and we're living in it. They're actually going to be able to work their way back in. Fame needs to go big again. Can't find another kill to add on to their Goliath spree, but someone from Northwood you would assume would have going to be there to be able to find the trade, but Rex will take down Infinite. That should be the last player to throw their life away if you are looking at the grander picture. Yes, Northwood might be able to contest this. You allow the 60 seconds to come all the way through. You have a 10-life lead.
Well, like, regardless of the advantage that Fame just built single-handedly off of his 10 spree, for Bay State, the fact that you just got 3 ticks of progress in what was a very defensive affair in the winners finals is actually really clutch for them. So you're going to lose this round. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. But, hey, you were able to get 3 ticks of progress, and that could be a major difference maker if this extends all the way to a 5th round.
Yeah, the way you just said that, you're just going to lose this round. It's like,
I mean,
you just like told a kid that like Santa isn't real. Like, I mean, it's the reality of the situation. I get it, but damn. Yeah, Rex up 1v14. Hey, at this one on the bingo card. Oh, nope, never mind. Not going to be able to get it. Yeah, Fame, masterclass first round, double digits away from it. And it's interesting, too, because it was Radial that did that in the Berlin Control when they played in Winners Finals. This time around, it's Fame that absolutely steps up, finds all the timings in the world, finesses their life for an eternity. Finds a 10 spree. Gets the glide bomb in their back pocket, a crucial tool to have if you want to try to convert an offensive round. If not, keep an ace up your sleeve because you might need it later on.
Same 1-3 setup that Northwood had put together in each of their attacks in the winners finals. Think the one watching to make sure nobody pushes through the train station platforms. Radial up top, keeping honest the second floor. And it's just the Fame show, my dudes. Tickets for that were free, apparently. And how about this? This is the same gun check call that we had seen. As soon as you win gunfights mid-map, look how quickly Northwood are not just to get over towards A, but look at the help. They've got help over through fire. Pitch Red goes the kill feed, and that may put a bit of a pause into how much more Northwood wants to commit as they send Infinite back to make sure the clock stays stalled at minute 15 on B.
Smart call to give up the push that was about to manifest over towards A. You lost the numbers inside the office. You're just going to leave Fame to just lurk over inside of P3, and you're just going to send Infinite to try to get this third segment of progress over by B. Off screen, he'll win that 1v1 versus Silly, but this has been a massive start. They're about to have 2 minutes on the board for this A zone assault.
And Radial, he actually keeps 3 defenders in place by getting on towards the A zone. That leads to an opportunity for Fame on 5 to get around the back. Now, the thing about this is, I mean, again, he's not going to earn a second glide bomb. He can't just bank that. So, really, you're not playing for streaks at this moment. You're playing for the positioning.
Yep.
But you're going to need to get an opening from the front because Bay State are really starting to zone forward towards the Northwood spawns. And now, all of a sudden, you feel like you have to make a play around the pinch, and it's not going to work out. Bay State pick up on this pretty nicely.
Yeah, Fame's going to throw a couple shots. They're going to know that he's down here in fire, but someone's got to trade him. I mean, Beak is here for the help now. Fame's still not traded. He's on another 6 spree. Again, he's not going to – he will lap streaks. He won't get a second one, but still, the individual pressure that Kev is laying down is massive.
Here he goes. First glide bomb comes through. Doesn't really find too much of anything, not just on the kills, but more importantly, you don't get Rex out of the back, and you haven't gained any space from the front. So Bink, topside fire, is looking to cut off any rotations. Fame does get the second one just in the nick of time, but does get team killed in the same moment. Bink late to this pinch play. Needs to do it himself, and he's done it before by himself, so maybe there is a chance to come back on through to this, but not going to happen. It's a 4-life lead and 60 seconds to play for Northwood to try to get this offense across the finish line.
Not going to be able to do it all for kills. You might be able to find yourself an opportunity to get past middle of the map. The biggest issue is you got Druxy playing a corner, and you also have the rest of Bay State trying to push on forward out of train.
These 1v1s are everything for Bay State right here. Oh, what a prediction. Phantoms will fall.
Wow.
Okay, there's the front line down. It's just on to Silly, the only defender that's still up. And look at Bink's position, number 6 in blue. He's going to cut off the rotations, or at least attempt to. Not going to find anything, though, on the front. So it's up to Silly. Waiting for a little bit of help. Fame trying to gatekeep from the backside of the windows, but he gets shut down. 7 playing up against 11, but the clock is more of the opponent here for the side of Northwood. One more chance to try to hit this. You've got Infinite nearby. The rest of the squad looks like they do want to try to hit this largely from the front.
They're going to have to clear away pillars as well. They don't want to get flanked. You got Rex down there. They find him, and you also are trying to clear away dubsteps. Now, you know where these at least one more player is located at if it might make the play.
Here we go. Kills are coming through. It's a 10v3. You just need one clear if you're Bay State. That's it. Rex on the corner. Gets finished off by Infinite. Second tick of progress on the way. Drugsy and Silly have to go quickly. Shut down by Infinite. One more on the corner. It's Pistols and Northwood punch through another offensive win and go up 2-0.
This team and Control is just something special, man. Again, winning the war of attrition where, again, the Avengers, they got an incredible Hulk, but Northwood, they got a Fame, man. And he is just going absolutely insane. Not even in just this map alone. Like, yes, he's putting on a masterclass clinic, but, like, through the entirety of this day, Fame has just been lights out.
Yeah.
He's 21-6.
It's untouched. So now it has to be 3 rounds in a row for Bay State. Starts right here with this offense. Good first blood from Silly over towards the A zone. Follow-up kills over towards B will likely guarantee the first tick of progress, unless Infinite feels frisky enough to try to jump on in here. And he actually did give himself an opportunity to get a look at it, but as he's shut down, now it's not just the first tick of progress that's looking likely. It very well could be the second.
Gonna contest it at least from the side. One opening pick does come through, but is the collapse going to be good enough? Pinstripe kill feed would suggest at least that Northwood could work their way back in. Just a last individual gunfight. Infinite will win it. Second tick of progress does at least get through, but still space provided for Northwood to come back through.
Slow game here from Drugsy, just for what it's worth, 6-19. Need to see him really step things up if this offense is going to find some success. As Bink nearby, finishes off the kill, no problem. Now you can take your focus purely over towards A. B's already gone. AR in hand now, Infinite throwing shoulders. Radial nearby. And the push is going to happen. Drugsy's going to get caught off guard completely. That's just so egregious in ways from Northwood, but it works out beautifully on the aggressive stance.
And they're also able to fully secure the flank over by Crane as well. They found Rex trying to make a little bit of a flank play happen. But what you're seeing from Northwood, they're trying to find the kills, and well, team kills are not what I'm alluding to, so that way they can get out of train and force all of Bay State to spawn over by water, but they simply cannot leave train.
Drugsy on the route for Bay State. He's going the long way around fire. This is everything. This is how you open up this hit towards A. And Drugsy's already been kept honest, so now all of a sudden he really can't do much of anything. Radial finesses. He's had a much better map 3 for what it's worth, by the way. Especially in moments like that where you have to win a 1v1. It's just you need to. So now Northwood, it's full focus on the front. Still able to take down one, but nothing more. Radial quick to come back over to help out the defense. And that'll be good for another bit of time and more lives out of the hands of Bay State.
One player on the flank is going to be Phantoms. Wants to coordinate this pinch with their teammates. You're down to 1 minute. Lives are just about even up. We also have middle of the map being looked at. Bink with the pistol is going to take down Silly. That's going to keep things at least honest for now, but Bay State, they still have one trick up their sleeve, or should I say the flank, and that's Phantoms. They activate themselves. They'll take down Fame from behind.
But as Bink maybe slipped in that, just a touch, almost gets the double. Not to be, though. 48 seconds on the clock. Bay State with an opportunity to delay. Are there going to be heroics again? It was a 4v9 in the winners finals in favor of Northwood in a situation that looked very much so like this. And the kills are good. They only give away 1 tick of progress. Rex falls at range. And now it's an 8v10 just like that. And only 40 seconds for Bay State to make a play.
Quick flank coming through again. Drugsy trying to make the route, but he needs to be able to put these kills together. Big almost ends up snapping onto Silly, but still, space provided. 30 seconds remaining. Last possible offense to stack over towards this A zone.
Oh, Bink reads where he spawns this. This isn't normal. There's got to be someone behind me. It's Drugsy, lucky to be alive on 1 HP. Will only be able to create presence, not full pressure from the backside of this play. Kills come through. Now it's a 9v5. Is it going to happen again? In 4v9 in the winners finals, could it possibly come through in a 5v9 form? Kills coming out. Second tick of progress on the way. Who's going to be the one to step on in? How about Radial? Wouldn't be a better time for him to do it than right now, but Drugsy reads the window push, and that will be enough for Bay State to get the required offensive win.
It's not going to have to be the first, and it won't be the last of many, many rounds that this team has to take. Still down 2-1 as far as Control is concerned. They are still down pretty horrendously when it comes down to the overall segment progression comparatively. When all that is said, though, this Bay State roster really is starting to piece things together. Yes, Drugsy has had a very slow game, but the pinch plays have been sublime on that offense to be able to make sure that they always have themselves that numbers advantage. Phantoms up to 20-14. Say that Fame has slowed down ever so slightly. I mean, they're in double-digit deaths, so I guess he has.
Yeah, well, Still 2.0 kick, just casual.
Normal.
And the thing about this, you know, you want to make your route to getting 3 in a row easier if you're Bay State. You have to stop either zone from being captured. And, oh, but it's not happening. 3 straight kills coming through. B is being stacked. First tick of progress is gone. And you still have been keeping his life. Finding the elimination versus Silly over towards A. More in front of him, but he doesn't. He's his job done. I mean, look at the play coming through. Northwood are getting off the B zone to play through fire. They've got the full pitch. Bacon's still alive for 3 in a row, and this capitalization over the A zone routinely has been the success story for Northwood as they're looking to get their first tick at A.
Oh, Radio finds 2 more. They will be traded out. Now you just need 1 more player to step up to be able to find these trades. Phantom's still over here, by the way. They never cleared out Phantom.
They stopped the tick just before it comes through. So 60 seconds on the clock. Bay State will fully deplete and then take their focus back over towards B. And honestly speaking, you still need to consider fully recontesting this, even though you're down 6 lives. The clock is your biggest ally. But Radio once again creates an opening by himself, gets on in, keeps his life, stuns forward. That's going to lead to an opportunity to take down Drugsy up close. Now all of a sudden, you've got the extra 60 seconds guaranteed towards B. Radial is going to solo capture A. Not going to take the final gunfight. But that is a lot of progress done, and now a huge life lead starting to come out with a ton of time on the clock.
And that is why Northwood constantly do this on Berlin. They find the kills, and they give up B zone because they know that they can keep finding kills because Bay State have to throw in defensive teammates to try to get them off of the A zone. Even securing that first tick, it's 1 good wave of kills are what Northwood are looking for, so that way they can take this offense.
14 plays 21. Pink along the back. Phantom's off the respawn. Will find the trade. But it's Silly caught by himself inside the zone. He can only do so much. So now Phantoms has to try to think about stepping forward. Rex and Silly quick to help. Drugsy looking to hit a bit of a route. Second tick of progress is good. The stack for 2 players is in. Rex on the way forward. Nothing there. The kill's coming through cleanly. That's 3 down. And then the 4th. Northwood Esports. 3-1 Berlin. Not once versus Bay State, but twice. And what a map from Radial to get back into this series.
It cannot be understated. Radial needed a map to bounce back like that. Especially after the abysmal performance that we saw on the Gavutsu hardpoint and lackluster as well coming back through on that Tuscan Search and Destroy. Just massive improvements to be able to see that Radial will not be deterred. Although he was losing continuous gunfights, he comes back from the break in between the Search and Destroy, going into the control. And how do you just not feast off the energy that Fame was bringing to the table? I mean, Fame was just gunning everybody, man. Nobody was able to trade him out for what seemingly felt like the first 2 rounds. Even calls in the glide bomb, doesn't find the immediate value with it. It seems to be his stature for the entirety of the day. It's like, who needs a glide bomb when you're just shooting like that? Not Fame.
Hey, you can afford to waste a glide bomb when you can earn a second one immediately afterwards.
Fair.
So, who cares, really? But yeah, the second-hand hype you're pulling off of Fame right now has to be electric. 33 and 16. And now, granted, look at the amount of assists that came out of Bink with just as much damage as his teammate of Fame. I mean, again, the help that we've started to see is really created the opportunities for Northwood in thing about it is it's coming in moments when the decision-making isn't questioned. Okay, we got 1 good kill through mid-map. Everybody leave B, come help me at A. Like, those calls are what are leading to a lot of the significant eliminations. Some of them are actually tallied with the secondary stat of an assist with it. So, yeah, man, it is one of those things that the gut check IGL and coming out of Northwood has been the main, I would say, factor of success that they've been able to pull, at least for this map mode combination in specific.
I mean, Bink plays such a selfless role when you're looking at it, right? Because, I mean, again, when you're thinking about the offensive things for Berlin Control, Bink is that island player. All he needs to do is find a handful of damage and keep their life. But he's finding so many kills, and he's stopping defensive players, from rotating back around to pinch to stop that initial offensive assault over by B. It just works so well for this team. There's a reason why they're the #1 control team here in CCL.
That's absolutely the case. So now we go back to Berlin for the hard point. And what's the quote-unquote alley cat stat about the teams that win Berlin control also winning Berlin hardpoint immediately afterwards? It's like 90+% or something. So I think if you're looking at that and if that statistic holds true for Northwood, you feel good about your chances to become your new CCL champions. But for Bay State, they need to find a way to extend this to a second best of 5, and it starts right here. And the first person you look at has to be Drugsy. He's been the route man all weekend long, and he's done it to great success.
needs to be able to piece it all together because an SMG's presence on Berlin absolutely needs to be there for Druxy, not including the routes that he's also always being able to fish out, but the kills need to be also backed all the way through. 1.23 KD on Hardpoint in this event for this weekend. It's just one of those things that, again, that Druxy walking away from that control was just a few moments away from finding those kills, but just was not being able to walk away with them. But the one saving grace that you do have for yourself, if you're looking at this from Bay State's perspective, you did win this when they did play back in Winners Finals. This was map number 1, and it was, what, 250 to 205 or something like that?
Yep.
It was a comfortable lead that was always held for Bay State over Northwood.
So, interesting is I was kind of surfing through Twitter. The Northwood guys were saying they had no comms from Radial in that map number 1.
Really?
So after they had won that Winners Finals, they were like, we feel good about our chances to come out and just repeat what we had just done. Maybe even better, depending on whoever we face, whether it's Bay State or whether it's Ottawa. They felt really confident about their ability to turn around some of the quote-unquote mistakes that were made during the Berlin Hardpoint. And to be fair, a lot of the moments that we were kind of looking at, they were in critical decision-making moments where it's just like, oh, they missed out on this, and all of a sudden it turned into a 60-point swing for Bay State. So now that you've got everyone calming, hopefully successfully,
that'd be nice.
Is that going to automatically correct some of those things? And maybe the other question, as we need to focus a lot of the perspective for Bay State trying to win this map and another to force the second best of 5, is can you recreate the success that you found in rotations? Because that was the big key, was they were winning on the rotation from hill to hill more often than not.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I mean, when you're thinking about this, right, you know, for Hardpoint specifically, where we were in map 1 and now where we are for map 4, again, SMG presence needs to be there. And although Radial was a non-benefactor when it came down to that map number 1, they were still winning rotations continuously. Why? One player, it's a 4-letter name, Bink. Bet you thought I was going to say Fame. Bink is going to constantly try to berate these rotations early, try to find these longer lines of sights, wants to make sure that they at least keep numbers going into the rotation. Because if they lose 10 seconds, that's not the end of the world. Because when you're looking at what even went right for this Northwood roster when they lost map number 1 in Winners Finals was their P3 setups. Abominable, I would say. That's where the majority of their points came from. They were looking at full 50s. They actually ended up getting a full 57, I believe, back over in their first go of things. So it's going to be interesting to see how much value Bink is going to be able to be finding for themselves to command these rotations.
Well, he's the star student of the series for a reason, but I think the leader currently for a quote-unquote MVP conversation is the other 4-letter name on the roster. And Fame had a chance with Spyro to sit down and kind of get a look to see how they feel the event's going so far. And we'll have a chance to look back into that interview right now.
What's up, folks? Spyro here at the CCL LAN in Columbus, Ohio, here with Fame from Northwood. You just got off an awesome win against Bay State. A little bit of a rivalry in the league. They beat you first time. You beat them here. Yep. How do you guys feel right now? You're in the grand finals.
We feel pretty good. We knew from the regular season match that we lost that we didn't play our best game, and they played their best game, and it was still very close. So coming into this LAN, we knew we were really confident that we were going to win this. So just glad we were able to get done.
Love that, dude. And this definitely isn't the first time you've beaten them before. This has been, you know, something you guys have been leading up to. I've been hearing it called a little bit of an upset before. Are you calling it an upset?
Absolutely not. No, this is business as usual type of stuff.
You better?
Yeah, we're better for sure.
That's what I love to hear, Fame. Thank you so much, brother.
You,
good stuff.
Biggest thing for Fame is it's finally time to start seeing what we come to know about him during the final 5v5 year during Modern Warfare. Cold War was, I hate to use it, but it was kind of a tragic year, generally speaking, compared to the expectations that were built off of the Modern Warfare engine. But now that he's back to it, he comes off a lot of success from Toronto. That's now starting to really get some momentum towards this Northwood team, it feels like, in full.
And he's got the personality to back it up as well. It's funny. He's just a real funny guy is Kev. But nonetheless, like, he is very deadly when it comes down to the game as well. I'm glad that you brought up Toronto as well, because even his Challengers teammates, when I was catching up with Pander at Toronto, he was even sitting there talking to me about it. He was like, he's got a lot to prove. I was like, he's proven it throughout this year. If you're not watching Challengers and you're not watching what Fame is constantly bringing to the table, you need to suit up. You need to go watch that some Challengers.
Yeah, it's been a really solid year from overall, and the potential to kind of correct the shortcomings from last year, falling to the other Ottawa team and coming in second. Now a chance to join up with Radial, who were on opposite teams, and maybe find their way into a championship here under the Northwood banner. We'll see. Still a long way to go here, though, you feel like, in certain regards. You definitely do not want to rule out this Bay State squad. So we'll see if they were able to bounce back quickly here onto this Berlin hardpoint and find success as they had done already in the winners finals when they had played this for map number 1.
Think again, star student for this specific matchup. He is the route man that needs to go up against the maps that Druxy has also been bringing to the table for Bay State. Favorite side of the map here on map number 4 goes to Northwood. They will be able to get into P1 first.
Quick over through glass, though. Rex already cooking up nades for the backside corner. Trade's coming out, and Rex needs to make a decision. Do you commit? And if so, how? Damn well. Not really much of an opportunity to do so. Quick kills come through for Northwood in the first 15 seconds is good.
Yeah, now you can start really pushing forward just a wee bit and just trying to keep them trapped here inside of the train station. I love that discipline that also comes through the Bink. Doesn't want to hold that angle for too long, but Bay State still have numbers here. They're actually finding a lot of good kills through this glass, and yeah, wouldn't you know, they're going to be able to take up Chris Radial as that last player alive. That's 18 seconds that Bay State can absolutely soak up.
That's a really solid second break attempt out of Bay State. And it just felt like some shots just weren't connected to the glass for Northwood because the gunfights were looking good initially from our perspective. So now we turn our attention back over towards Mail. We've got essentially a dead even game and a 50-50 battle here at the second hard point. Drugsy playing for stair side control. It's Infinite stunned up. No problem to finish off the elimination. Last player to find would be Bink. And as he takes a couple of shots, the chase is absolutely on. The wall bang's also coming through, but Bink actually gets the double somehow. Silly and Rex slid in together. They get collided, and Fame finds the third, and Northwood have snuck away an early attempt at the initial time.
I mean, that's highway robbery right there. You get double chow. Bink walks away with both of those kills. He's still alive. Top third here in Mail. It's going to drop down. Going to at least see a handful of players cross over them. They will only able to find one. Druxy at least able to find two. Back on the recontest, make that 3. Double positive again for Druxy to start off this map. That's going to be a crucial and must-needed break with how things were starting to look for Bay State at the opening of P2.
Rex inside the hard point. Has a couple of different Northwood Timberwolves to work through. Phantom's looking to come back through the side windows for the double. Sure, why not? That'll be good for not just the scrap time, which is well warranted for Bay State, but more importantly, it keeps Northwood away from the rotation, giving the Bulldogs a chance to set up convincingly around lobby.
Shots coming into the back of Phantoms. He knows that there's going to be one player behind them, but there's no pressure whatsoever coming in across the B lane. So you should be more than aware that this is actually going to hit coming through the double stairs, but Northwood hit it so fast. Fame finds 2, and Bink completely clears away over who was blocking the spawns. What a quick break coming out from Northwood.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of like strategically vulnerable setups in a way. To where, all right, well, I guess we're just going to do it this way. It's definitely the more difficult of setups that you've seen, but it works out nonetheless. Now the team shot's starting to really come through as Fame and Infinite combined for 3. More on the way as Infinite's already putting pressure on rotation through mid-statue. Not a lot of room to work with there as Rex and Phantoms were able to at least maybe contest some of the scrap time, or at least open up the opportunity to consider it. Drugsy looking to get in, and he actually does win the 1v1 to finesse for some scraps. So just as good as Northwood was over towards 3, all of a sudden on rotation, Bay State have convincing perimeter set up around 4.
And great positional awareness coming away from Phantoms, making sure that the B lane still gets looked at, knowing that Drugsy can at least communicate that, yeah, they're still spawning in 4-3, because of course they are. Now that's going to be a hit from the front, more or less. You at least dealt with Phantoms over by that B lane. But look at the setup that Bay State have here in P4.
Well, it's starting to get a little bit turned around, a bit malleable. Was the setup over through train station. Trades coming out for Northwood will get them close to an opportunity to get around the back, but spawns will still be good for Bay State. Just comes down to, do you win these final gunfights? And Fame off the regen is looking to contest as much as humanly possible. Gets caught in between train cars, and that'll be good for Bay State. Convincing time now in front of the Bulldogs if they can lock up the scrap 20. One more attempt for Northwood to contest this from the backside. Rex not able to take down Radial. Definitely feeling a bit spicier, but it's silly off the respawn to make sure Bay State still get the wealth of the scrap.
Starting to build a little bit of a lead for themselves. About to be 20 points going in towards P5. Map number 1. During winners finals between these two teams, P5 was actually a masterclass coming away from Bay State. They always made sure that they got players inside top third. Phantom's going to be that media player. Ducks through the hole. They're going to be able to find at least one player in the middle of the map. That was Radial. But you need to be able to work these trades. Bink's going to be able to at least find one. And you need to hold this position because you cannot afford Bay State to flip these spawns.
Stuff for Bink to create pressure and then double back. Make sure the spawns don't flip. Pam's going to have to essentially do the exact same thing, losing 3 members very rapidly. He needs to try to hold his life for as long as possible. Finds himself in a corner, but none of the kills are coming through. It's Bay State for 3 in a row. This is leading not just to good hardpoint time, but the threat imminent over towards lobby and beyond. Good kill still coming out of the ARs. Bay State really lighting things up. It's Phantoms and Rex. Combined 7 spree for them. Silly with Automaton as well, and Phantoms is continuing to put down Northwood members as they look to break up the monotony, which has been all Bulldogs on P5.
It's going to be a solid 137 to about 81 going in towards the second set, unless you have a full-on argument from Bink. Well, just as soon as they start arguing, they get shut down by Druxy. You're not going to be able to soak up the scrap time. You take a look at what's starting to manifest going in towards the second set. Spawns will flip on the backside of 3, but it's actually setting up a little bit of a pinch because you still have Phantoms coming away from the railroad.
You have to get kills here if you're Bing. Lots of damage into Rex, but it's Silly's nade that gets the job done. Fame looking to capitalize off some softer opponents in front of him. The pinch now all the way in as Phantoms is now a part of the play with Drugsy. Fame once again by himself. Spawns will reflip back, but Bay State gets what they came for. They get the break that they want and an opportunity to, again, continue to build on this already pretty gross lead.
Yep. It's going to continue to build. Northwood need to break right now. 27 seconds, because you do not want another look at what happened going back through the first set of hard points. This is essentially what Bay State got away with going back through the first set of hard points. They were able to break in, and they were able to hold 1v1 for the scrap will be Silly over Fame. And then you immediately take a look at what the respawns are at. They're already at the middle of the map, and they're going to get set up for the rotation towards New.
Yeah, I hate to mention it, but Radial, who had a solid start, is now back to 7 and 18. He is not able to do too much of anything in the last 3 hard points combined, and that has once again led to Bay State amounting of what seemingly could be an insurmountable lead once again. Radial looking to correct. Able to finish off Rex, confirms his teammate's trade. Still so many Bulldogs that you have to find, and not a lot of information can be gathered here because there's just nobody on the outside of this hard point for Northwood. They're still trying to get numbers here to even contest this. And as they do, it's all one-dimensional in certain ways, and that's going to lead to an SMG success story for Bay State.
Well, at least they get over 100 points, but you're still down by 72.
Yeah.
30 seconds still left to battle over here on P2, and you're just not necessarily in an immediate position to try to contest this. Yeah, Infinite's up top, but, like, you're just going to have to throw your life at this because you need to contest it. You cannot allow this 20 seconds to go for free.
This has been as clean as we've ever seen so far for Bay State. Winning on old time, winning on rotation. They're just keeping Northwood on the back foot, it feels like, almost every single time. Good exit here, though, for the Timberwolves. Have to turn that into a quick early break, though. And as Fame gets revealed by Phantoms, he really can't do too much besides maybe just block spawns. Radial trying to force the issue, but from the front, there's no success anywhere around. So now you got to get this job done from the back. How much time is this going to take, though? Still coming back forward, but he's softened up, and Radial will still capitalize on the kill. The break attempt will be good. Northwood a chance to extend their life in map 4.
And they got to make sure that they do not get broken up here. Bay State, they're not necessarily too far away from it, but Druxy's going to wait here over by the dub steps and just wait for the rest of their teammates to try to coordinate this push that's starting to put itself together through the middle of the map, but just as soon as it starts sequencing together, Druxy goes down, the statue play does not come through. 20 seconds are what we're looking at here. Bay State might just take their leader's advantage, send a couple players into finesse for some exits and some scrap time because they still have a sizable lead going forward.
This is leader's advantage, and it's fine as Phantom snuck around the back. There was one more Northwood player to spawn up, and I think the Timberwolves are saying we're good from the backside. Not to happen, though. Phantoms gets a double to re-break back on through, and that is key time as Bay State keep chugging away, possibly on cruise control to 250. Even being able to fight over on this rotation from the front. Northwood is able to put anything together. Cut on rotation. It's Rex for a triple, and that will clean up the back, leaving Radial by himself with nowhere to go. Win condition now in front of Bay State here on the trade yard.
Oh, they have players that are up in top of the warehouse. Fame has to deal with it, but he's keeping his head on a swivel. Silly takes him down over by the contest spot. Nobody from Northwood is able to find a kill. Nobody can do any harm. Bay State are simply going to walk away with it.
Another one of those moments where you just feel like the map is just out of hand. And Radial is now 9 and 26 after what was about a 7 and 7 start.
Yeah.
He was 7 and 17 at one point in time, and it's just another near triple negative map from him. An opportunity for Northwood to get on in for this scrap time, but I mean, at this point in time, you just have to kind of keep Bay State out. You can't really commit any further forward because you also have to play for full time here at New. It's just, yeah, it's an obstacle course that even the most famous of American Ninja Warriors wouldn't want to traverse.
I mean, it's only, what, 10 seconds you can realistically give up here on P5, a hard point that's been very, very good for Bay State. Northwood at least able to find themselves a couple of kills. They just have to consistently keep this up. Radial's in a forward position, at least takes down Silly, but you need to keep this up. You have to be able to be the aggressor. Does well to find a second.
So good first 30 seconds here for Northwood, but so much still left to be done. Team nade will help out. That'll keep the hard point neutral, which is good enough to at least allow reinforcements to come forward. Big gunfight win from Pink. But still, it's a simple fact of the matter of Bay State only needing 9 seconds worth of time. And it's kind of, dealer's choice as far as how do you want to secure them with as much ground that Northwood has to pick up on. Good flood back through, though. Re-clears out for Northwood. Has a chance, and they will actually likely extend this over to P1. And a greedy play coming out of Silly. That will shut things down, and hold on a second. Bay State are nowhere near this rotation. Northwood's going to have a really good look at P1, but they're trying to zone maybe a little bit too far forward. Going to get punished on it. Infinite has to do something special. And all of a sudden, Drugsy's putting pressure on the pinch. This is the best look for Bay State to try to get this final 5.
He's not going to come up with dub steps. He actually comes through secret. Now it comes down to Bink. He's got to go big. Radial was the next player up. Won't be able to find much of anything. Good luck trying to get inside this hard point if you're Infinite. Yeah, it probably took a little while longer than what they wanted there at the very end with such a sizable lead that they were able to build for themselves. But the Bulldogs out of Bay State send us to a map 5.
Oh, buddy. And you know what? It's just another one of those moments where you look at this Bay State team, especially coming off of their win versus Ottawa, and a lot of the things that were happening there are kind of being repeated. And as much as I think a lot of our cast was going to be kind of categorized by what is Ottawa doing wrong, there were moments where Bay State were doing incredible things to make life as difficult as possible for Ottawa. That was once again just showcased, in my opinion, on that map 4.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like I was saying, too. Like, Druxy making these routes happen, always being a nuisance, finessing for scrap time, winning it more often than not. You had Phantoms always lurking behind a lot of different plays, especially towards that B lane. When you're looking at what Phantoms was constantly being able to put together for himself and his team, was even from 1 going over towards 2, from 4 into 5, always keeping a focus on what the longer line of sight might end up looking like, and it just barely ends up dying as well. So 25 in 18 for Phantoms with about 3,700 damage, led the entire lobby as far as damage is concerned.
There's another just situation where you look at Radial and say, what's happening all of a sudden? I mean, the thing about the role is not just you're looking at him to kind of force the opportunity for entryways. The big 1v1 that we were framing up was Drugs is going to hit routes for Bay State. Radial needs to be the same thing for Northwood. And when you only pull 17 seconds worth of hill time and you go 12 and 32, we could definitely pick apart very clearly why Northwood was having as difficult of a time as they were getting any sort of a setup put together. It's because they were late to rotation almost every single time. And that's not just kind of a knock on the Radial, but more importantly, it just goes to show that Druxy is just as good as the other 3 members that are on here.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can have all the backline pressure in the world. I mean, Fame and Bink were doing everything they possibly could, but when your SMGs are putting up so low numbers, when it comes down to having to recontest and break hardpoints on a map like Berlin, you need submachine guns to at least get those double kills, to find those initiating gunfights. When it's not there, well, you see what happens.
Makes life very difficult. And with that, we head to our map 4 break between 4 and 5. Will we crown a champion? Will we reset the bracket? We'll find out when we come back. It's going to be a search and destroy played on Bakaj to determine one or the other. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Columbus, Ohio, the Belong Arenas and the College Con Season 4 Grand Finals. First best of 5. Northwood out of the upper bracket. The advantage of having to beat twice by Bay State. But we're in map number 5. And a quick look back at the bracket to see how exactly both of these 2 teams had gotten here, because it's not just the first time that they had met coming into the LAN. It's also not the first time that they had met in the tournament. From the bottom side of the bracket, you see Northwood clean 3-0s, both through Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, and Westcliff, to eventually meet up against Bay State, who was able to find map 4 wins versus both Ottawa and St. Edwards. Couldn't quite get the job done in the winners finals, though. A chance to reset the bracket and still keep your hopes of being a champion alive.
And it's going into a search and destroy nonetheless. I mean, Bay State have been on an absolute warpath, and that was quite prevalent. I will say that much. When they got knocked down 2 lower finals versus that Ottawa roster, where their search and destroy had certainly turned up a certain dial. And you even go back to map number 2 in this very best of 5. It is just one of those things that you really do feel like that all the timing, all of the routing, and everything else in between can simply do no wrong for Bay State.
Well, the run through the lower bracket was short for a team like Bay State. Ottawa looked like they were going to put together a significant run, maybe even contest the chances of getting to a grand finals, but that lower final matchup was Bay State from start to finish earlier this morning. 3-0 affairs pretty much all the way throughout the lower bracket, save what so far for me has been one of the highlight matches of the series, or the weekend rather, I should say. SIU 8 and St. Clair was a thrilling 5-map series. A lot of respect given out to both the Cougars out of Edwardsville and, of course, the Saints from St. Clair. But the conversation has to stay with these two squads. By far the best two at the beginning of the year, just expectation-wise by roster. And, well, no one really contested them outside of just blowing up against one another. So a map 5 here on Bacage Search and Destroy. Will we have a champion, or will there be a reset? About to find out.
Search and Destroy was certainly a spectacle when you were watching back on that Tuscan S&D, man. A lot of good first bloods that started to come all the way through, but if there's one player, again, I hate to continuously put a periscope on him, Radial needs to piece things together here in this map number 5.
Aggressive nades from Bay State defensively. Do get at least some sort of a tag on towards Bink. It actually allows Bay State to kind of flood the box over towards B. No one even in Grannies at the moment. It's really just Rex throwing shoulders. He'll eventually make a rotation over, and this means that for the defense for Bay State, it's largely on Drugsy to either catch sound or just give this up and play retake if Northwood were to commit quickly to get to A.
If it might just be trapped to play this corner as well. He's actually going to leave it, and he's going to catch Rex up in the window as well. That's a great kill to find for themselves. And now Chris Radial can actually turn back around. He's going to try to bring this all the way over towards A.
Yeah, trying to reclaim this if your Bay State has become much more difficult with Infinite already kind of inside of the house. But can Drugsy maybe stop the plant and get us to a 3v3? Wait, Northwood's going to rotate back? A bold call, to say the least. I mean, A is not vacant, but you feel like with the position topside Grannies that you feel good about it. But now you're going right back into Phantom's direction, and he nearly gets us to a 3v3 with the 1v1 versus Fame. But stunning over the top, Radial will be made safe to get the planet. He's going to quickly make the rotation over in towards Tunnel. Shut down by Drugsy, but the trade is good.
Yep, Infinite still playing up top in Grandma's. Going to be able to find that trade. Bink finding one onto Silly. Now it's all up to Timmy Phantoms. They know where he's located at. He's in the back, up on top of the fence. Won't be able to find much of anything. Northwood strike first. And yeah, bold call. You immediately try to wrap back over towards A. You had top Grandma's positioning, but you had no idea what was on the other side of that water wheel. What the timing was going to end up looking like, even over on the backside of that God tank. So I do like the call. At least you found that kill. Rotate back over towards B. You get the plant, but most importantly, you had the help to shrug Phantoms away.
Yep. I mean, really, that 1v1 gets figured out, and Phantoms finishes the final bullet needed to take down Fame. That defense looks much more significant towards B, but regardless, that's not happening here. So into round 2 we go. Wallbang check.
Wow.
Catches out Radial. They know that there's going to be contest up towards the top. Pushing that player back means that Northwood really can't do too much besides react to any information they find here with this more bunkered up setup defensively.
But that's just information on one. They have no idea what else is going to be looking like. I mean, sure, Phantoms is probably throwing shoulders since the beginning of this round to Bink, who's on the opposite side of L. Yeah, some shots being thrown between those two, so it's going to come down to Rex to try to find some information the hard way.
And well, honestly speaking, this position is a good one. You know that no one can contest you from the backside of the stone wall. And you've got a really good look at anybody who possibly wants to play up towards the ladder side. That is a great first blood from Rex. Double check to see if there's anyone going to peek over towards the window. None will contest defensively. So now the bomb makes the next step forward. Drugsy carrying, looking to get the plant off. Infinite's nearby. He's on the other side of the wall, but there's not going to be a chance to contest this. How do you get this retake going if you're Northwood?
Oh!
That helps.
Yep. Oh, man. I really thought that Drugsy was going to take down Infinite. Goes prone. And things up 3v3, 30 seconds remaining.
Radial has to go forward. You have to zone these players off the rooftop. Finds Rex down low, but it's a reaction that isn't quite good enough. Bink on the opposite side through stables. Trades. But the problem about his clock is becoming a huge problem. Bink just cut up over towards the barnyards, and now Infinite would have to do something amazing. First couple of shots do allow an opportunity to try to go for a defuse. Rex, though, quick to hop back up on towards the fence work. That'll be good for Bay State to secure the round.
Yep. Really all you had. You were looking at it from Infinite's POV. Does well to find the first, but I mean, you were down to 16 seconds. You still had to find 2 kills, plus that defuse, which was planted for both of them. So really only one thing to do. Let's just come back, walk away from that round. But hey, if you're Bay State, that was a fantastic offensive push. You were able to find the information. Of course, there's going to be a player up top, but the zoning that Rex was able to do, getting on the backside of the water wheel to at least confirm that the plant would be safe, was everything for that round to start the way it did.
Stuns all across both sides of the mid-courtyard doors. No information given away this time from Northwood, so an opportunity possibly to still push forward, but look at the distance that Rex has gained. Yeah, he's already pushed up towards the double door hut. That's good for first blood on the cross. And a numbers advantage for the Bulldogs as Northwood are already looking to commit back over towards A. It is vacant. They could still get this bomb without really any contest on the plan.
Yeah, but unbeknownst to them, it is vacant. So they're not too sure of this, where the timings might be at. Radio with the bomb is actually pushing all the way underneath the tunnel to try to come back through B.
This actually works out really well because not only is Radio possibly able to get over towards B, but he can actually cut off these players on the backside if he catches the right timing. Silly never saw him. And now an automaton for Radio for a double. And just like that, 4v3 turns to a 3v1 the opposite direction. Rex does get an immediate trade. Has to hold, waiting for the regen. Be a 1v3 for him. And he's on 6. So a potential glide bomb in the picture. Bomb gets planted. Fame and Radial playing on the defensive side of the map for the post plant. And Rex is going to try to contest through tunnel. This will isolate both players. There's kill number 7. Glide bomb earned. Could you be bold enough to try to call this in right now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Dirty dog. Fame is going to make a hard sprint. Can he get in towards the tower? Sure. Time can be a problem. And honestly speaking, Fame made the right move. He's able to contest this B bomb site from this location. Rex going to stun check it. No one home. 13 seconds on the clock.
He doesn't know where he is.
Rex, he's got no clue and not much ability to get back over to the bomb. And Fame shuts it down, avoids the glide bomb, and takes Northwood up by 1.
And a little smile across the face of Fame. He knows exactly what he just did. He's a bad man. He got inside of that castle. He was safe from the glide bomb, and then immediately wraps back through the middle of the map. Again, like you were saying, are you bold enough to call in the glide bomb right there? Because if you can find the kill, yes, it'd be super helpful. But Fame makes the play, finds the timing, knows he can recheck the bomb.
Man.
Wow.
I'm just surprised that Rex doesn't see the information saying he's going to go sit tower, just re-wrap back through tunnel to A. But
I don't know how Silly didn't see Chris in the back.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Fame opening set, Nate connects onto Silly Drugs. He's also tagged down, and Radio says that's my green light special to get going. An opportunity for Northwood to take a huge advantage in this search and destroy. The numbers are looking good. Phantoms now, 1v3 in front of him. No bomb in hand. And really just dead silence and a frag to work with. Sees Infinite slide from left to right. Shoulder's going to come through. That's going to reveal Phantom's position. And now he's going to be cautious of where the next contestant would be.
How do you even try to recover this bomb? You have an automaton. And yeah, Northwood are just going to play their numbers. He's got one inside of the barn, just going to play the crossfire. Infinite, we'll see Phantoms. He's going to be able to keep his life, but he's about to get swarmed. Actually does well to find the first, but here comes the contest on the backside. Northwood winning 3 rounds now, putting themselves in a position really start running away with this game. They are building themselves a lead. They got the glide bomb out from Rex, but the overall read from the beginning of these rounds and the collapse on the plays from their ARs to then communicate like we were seeing from Radial there, that green light is just so beautiful. That's what makes their search and destroy so deadly, and it's been quite the spectacle to watch all weekend long.
Bay State need to put together some sort of resilient defense right here, right now, because for Northwood, had a lot of the map to work with. Stuns over the top towards A, but Infinite quickly up the middle of the map, and Rex is there to make sure it's kept honest. The trade for Radial, good. And he gets back away with his life. So we go 3v3. And honestly speaking, for Northwood, that is a fine trade after the first blood. You've got all mid-map control, including Granny's house.
He's going to look for the timing to get back down over towards B, but you've got Phantoms that's over here. He's got the help again. Silly at least gets 2 kills. That's going to keep this round very much so alive. Big round to be won for Bay State. Better late than never for Silly to finally get activated in this map number 5. Be able to find those last 2 kills to set up Druxy to be able to clear the way, the middle of the map, because Northwood with these very split calls to be rotating in between bomb sites and through these tunnels and different fixtures that are offered on Bokaj has been giving them a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's an incredible double from Silly. He saves the round, guaranteed. Now to Bay State, can you string 2 together? Aggressive. Defense starting to come really far forward here for Northwood. You've got Infinite playing a bit of a pixel peek. Right outside of the woodwork, goes prone, and Rex just completely storms through. Fame looking to respond, gets 1, and keeps his life. So once again, the even trades get us to a 3v3. The action comes to a bit of a calm as Bink is on a long rotation defensively for Northwood.
Well, Phantoms is almost reading this, but Bink's going to be behind the half wall. Phantoms isn't going to turn around, so now Bink has a pinch, and you can't plant this bomb. It is not safe.
You have to isolate. Radial, not good for the 1v1 versus Druxy, who also was able to slip away from Fame's line of sight. Now the regen comes out. The rebound back through tunnel over towards A. Look at Silly's position. He's got full clearance, not just over the top of A, but he can watch this cross from topside window. This is a great spot for Silly to be, to lock in a post-plant setup for Bay State.
The entire flank is covered. Bomb planted. Where's Druxy go? Just going to go back into the backside of P3. Nice shots from Fame.
That is a huge 1v1 win. Druxy looking to confirm the trade, but Fame from the corner steps aside. Knows that the challenge had to come through. Silly had him down low, but it doesn't make a difference, and Northwood keep this a 2-round affair.
Fame keeping his life there after finding that kill in the back door of Grandma's was massive for the success, because Fame continuously just recontesting longer lines of sight, understanding what power positions need to be re-looked at and reconsidered, and also just the discipline as a whole, just waiting for their teammate to come back through and just make sure that they can at least play for the trade if Fame doesn't just absolutely beam Silly on that back god tank. A little bit of a chuckle coming through as Northwood are up 2 rounds.
Fame on 3. Another quick rewrap coming out. Look at this play from Radial and Infinite. They're once again just going to try to flood over to the front, but Druxy keeps it safe. A massive double for Bay State and huge numbers. You have to put this over the finish line. You need to finish off this 4v2.
They're still playing in the back. This is the smart call for Bay State. You got numbers advantage, but you cannot get fished out. Fame finds one. He's going to call for Bink to try to push all the way through the back.
This route is good. This route is good. He gets to the backside of the stone wall. He's split both defenders. Silly, no idea. No. But look at Phantoms. He's all the way deep entrenched. They're not going to fully see him. Phantoms now turns, and he confirms the trade from across the map. Fame looking to confirm the trade of his own. 4 in a row for Fame, and he's expecting a second help to come out of Drugsy, and he would be guessing correctly, technically speaking. And he's found Phantoms for a 2v4. Now a 1v1 with Drugsy. 5 in a row for Fame, looking to get the regen. Drugsy trying to get the red dot chase. Time also becoming a problem here. 25 seconds on the clock. Drugsy makes the first step. Is he going to get behind him in time? The shots come out. He can't get the hit, but Fame needs to get the bomb. He's on the attack. He needs to get either this kill or quickly get to the bomb, and the bomb's not an option anymore. Drugsy's going to confirm this round as long as he stays alive. Fame gets a look at him. The 1v1, no! Drugsy for 3 in the round.
Woo! That's massive for a hell of a lot of reasons right there. Again, shutting down the round momentum again to at least keep this within 1. But you also take down Fame, who, if he found that kill, was still going to be on 6, working their way closer towards streaks. That would have absolutely been the cherry on top of the cake for this round number 5. But no sweets coming through this time around. Bay State, Druxy, able to at least find 3. And a couple along nicely. And how about this passive look for an offense? Just trying to get some information off of some nades and stuns. Trying to collapse on the play at the right time.
You need this round if you're Bay State. You cannot go down 5-3 versus how this Northwood team is playing the map at the moment. You need to get this back to level if you want to have a chance to extend this grand finals. And they're going to try to overwhelm back side over towards A. Rex to watch the window cross. Now moving forward, and once again, Bay State will have the luxury of denying any long-range plays defensively. Wallbangs coming out, do tag up on Infinite, and that should be the call for Drugsy to start to actually consider this plan.
Bing keeps on going back and forth because they could very much still wrap over towards B. The bomb has not been committed. Druxy's just on the other side of this wall as well, and all this tension is so high. You also have the same exact round that played out a few moments ago. Rex is zoning away the backside of the water wheel.
There we go. Silly's able to use an isolated angle to find first blood. Drugsy is still not in a position to fully play for the plant. Now finally, with Rex and Phantoms getting involved, it's a significant numbers advantage. Bink for what would have to be a 1v4. Not going to happen. A flawless round for Bay State. Patient as we've ever seen out of them. And it comes at a key moment to get us knotted up at 4.
Yeah, they made that Bocage almost feel like an Arcloth peak, man. That was very, very slow. Very methodical, making sure that they get the information, wallbang, stuns, nades, everything else in between to make sure that they could slow roll their way for any sort of advantages they were able to find. And again, you go back a few rounds on a previous offense that Bay State have also been able to win. If Rex can get over towards that tank and zone away the backside of water wheel, so much more space that could be provided inside of Grandma's because you need to deal with that.
Northwood early look with numbers over towards B. Maybe try to see if they can get team shots into Phantoms, who has contested this angle regularly. They do get the shots off, but Phantoms has the exit of the tunnel. Quick rotation defensively to try to assert at least some contest over this plant, but Radial's going to get the bomb down. Can he get off the site, though? Because this is just hellfire raining down, and it's a long-range shot from Bink to get the opener. Bay State still in a position to contest. Team shots under Radial will confirm the bomb planter. Now it's just down to, can you get the trades in the middle of the map? And sure, Rex able to take down one. Get a good read onto Fame from the backside of this play as well. But he slipped through. Fame's still alive. Now controls top side mid. But as Rex makes the play, he reads not just one, but both. But Bink responds for the 1v2. It's a 1v1 now with Druxy. 13 seconds on the clock. Bink off the regen, just has to check. Sees Druxy. Gunfight one. Northwood on match point and grand finals point.
Well, Rex almost put themselves in a situation to be able to walk away with that two-piece. Did find Fame up top, like you said. Put on his best Harry Houdini impression. Went all the way upstairs inside of Grandma's. Was able to stay alive. When Rex came out through that front door, I truly did feel like he was going to get that snap onto Bink. Did well to at least find some damage, but Bink playing the timing. Again, search and destroy has been a bread and butter for Bink for quite some time. It was exactly what they have to do in that specific situation. Now up on championship point. Bokaj search and destroy. They will have defense to try to close it out.
14 and 7 from Rex. He's going quick. Oh, but look at Northwood. Aggressive defense through Stables. This is being read. Drugsy gets the first blood, and Rex is in a position to stop any further play through mid. Oh, what a response here from Bay State. A bit of a blind response, but it works out. The gamble stack from Northwood flops, and now you have to play retake in a 2v4.
Bink's going to come up here pretty quickly, thinking that the plant's going to be coming through, so he will concede the space, goes back down underneath the plat, finds the timing on his silly, gets out with his life. He's being chased by Rex, but he's gone through the tunnel.
Can they overwhelm the remaining Bay State players that are still lingering around A? Phantoms is the linchpin for success, deep, all the way past Barn. If Bink making a timing where he finds it, but no. Phantoms called upon. Gets the elimination, leaving it to Fame for a 1v3. But there's ever a player that you would want, it would be Fame. Able to find the first. Reload gets off. Still has a frag. Sees Phantoms at range. Also has Drugsy up close. 1v1! It's Phantoms who's able to delay. Fame hopping for the defuse. But he steps off for just a moment. And Phantoms may have just gotten the look at the bomb. Just have to do one more check. And it's not going to happen. Round 11, here we come.
Round 11 for either the bracket reset or the championship. Wonderfully played out there at the end. Fame, like you said, if there's any one player you probably want to keep alive, it probably would be Fame with how they've been playing in this championship Sunday. But I got to tell you, man, Rex is playing with a certain amount of speed. The velocity of this kid right now, man, is just at an all-time high. He's the Swiss Army knife for Bay State, 15 and 8.
Oh, and Rex once again just freed up the play over towards mid. Gates gets first blood. This has been a common setup, though. And the secondary stuns will not quite allow Rex to get out. So 3v3 we go. And Northwood will completely back out. Looking for a full-on reset of this round. Bay State still holding the angles that they currently find themselves in.
Got to respect the space now. You got to play against timing if you're Northwood as well. Just try to stack up, maybe try to overwhelm one of these positions. But you can see how Bay State are playing on the minimap. They're giving them absolutely nothing. You have to force your hand if you're Northwood.
Oh, but they're looking once again to isolate Phantoms down to 2 HP.
Nice nade.
And the nade does land. Does this move the defense over? Chris is going to stick for the plant. It's going to have to be a 2v3 retake for Bay State. Or Northwood will become champions. Fame and Bink go deep. This will isolate the Northwood post plant pretty considerably. Drugsy, a huge 1v1 in front of him. Fame shots will reveal. Stun comes across the corner. It's not going to connect with anything. Now the nade. You have to back Fame off. Radio wants the challenge. It gets denied, but it's Fame for the double! And it's Northwood Esports, your Season 4 College COD champions in a map 5, round 11.
Fame forces out the team kill. He takes down all 3 players in his wake. There it is. The final kills to come through. What a post-plant setup when you're looking at it for Northwood, because they were able to not only find that trade, they were able to get themselves on the backside, couple along together, all 3 players strong, and then they ended up brought themselves all the way down towards B. That post-plant setup from Fame, because of course it is absolutely massive. The flank would have been secured by Fame. Radial, if he was in that position, he just had to go 1-for-1. But you had to get to him first. And Fame was that guy, just watching that longer line of sight. The second that the second player dropped for Bay State, Fame was just right there to gun them all.
In a way, it's redemption for Fame after being beat by his sister team, brother team, if you want to call it, after the Ottawa v. Ottawa affair last year in Cold War. He finds himself joined up with Radial, and that will turn it into a championship for Northwood for the first time. And Radial will be a 2-time CCL champion. A massive congratulations to Northwood University. Then when it mattered most, man, after the regular season meeting between these two teams going all the way to 5, it just felt like, yeah, we were going to see something like that again. Wouldn't you know, we got it here in the grand finals. And what a showing for Bay State. It's just little things here and there, man. And honestly, it's just a Fame difference today.
It really was. And you truly did feel like Rex was going to be that player to step up. He was playing crazy, out of his mind for the past 2 maps. But meeting that and setting it up just a little bit higher was Fame. But the scary thing is that has been Fame consistently over the past, 3 weeks now?
Yeah,
we saw it last week in Toronto. He brings it over here in Columbus for a championship for this College of Northwood University. Man, you could not have asked for a better outcome of this weekend.
And what a season this Northwood University Esports program has had, man. Like, across multiple titles now.
1 series lost.
Dude, and not just in COD. I'm talking, like, for the program. Like, they've put together one hell of a year, adding now a Call of Duty title to the virtual trophy case, if you want to call it that. And we'll take a look back at the bracket as far as how exactly it unfolded, because for Northwood, they came in the best control team by far, based on the statistics that we had for all of our final 8 teams. It was a linchpin for success against them, not just throughout the weekend, but most importantly, against this Bay State team, not once, but twice, doing it in the winners finals and the grand finals on that Berlin control. Bay State fighting back after the lower finals sweep of Ottawa, but just not quite enough in the tank to reset the bracket.
No, it was just moments away. It was so close from being able to reset the bracket, just a couple timings here and there, one more round, and we would have been loading on up for another map pick, ban, and veto process. But just as what ended up happening in some other tournaments, grand finals come around, this Northwood Esports roster absolutely show up and they play to their heart's content. Massive congratulations to what they've been able to piece together for themselves all the way through the season. 1 series loss throughout CCL. It was stage 2 during the regular season when they lost to none other than this Bay State Esports roster, to be able to bounce back and not only just beat them once, but twice here on LAN in Columbus. It's got to feel good.
The only flaw in what had largely been for both teams is perfection from minute number 1 of putting together these rosters.
Yeah.
I mean, the expectations were always going to be high, and it's just very appropriate that we got 2 great series out of both of these 2 squads in local environments here in the Belong arenas. Unbelievable stuff. Again, massive congratulations over to Northwood. And, well, here's a look at Bink. What a performance he had throughout the entirety of the weekend. A 1.3 overall KD.
I mean, it's one of those things, again, like when you're taking a look at Bink, what he's been playing side by side with, like Radial has been putting on MVP performances. Fame is easily going to be the number 1 player, in my opinion, to be MVP. But Bink has been a cornerstone of success when it comes down to what this team of Northwood has been able to piece together for themselves in the respawn specifically. Control comes to mind, what Bink has always been able to do, the selfless AR player to island play for those 1 zones that the other 3 are assaulting the opposite side of the map.
Oh, yeah.
Bink is just waiting to find those 2 kills, to overextend, and then to open up an avenue for their teammates to be able to come on in and take the more of the 2 difficult zones.
You know, the other thing, too, we talk a lot about how, you know, we had players like Fame who had great Modern Warfare year, kind of then followed up by a very lackluster Cold War season. The same could be said about Big. He was kind of a really heavily slept-on AR player throughout Modern Warfare and then never really got a team going throughout Cold War. And is not a player to be slept on by any stretch of the imagination. What he's doing this year in Challengers has been pretty darn significant. And, again, just kind of utilizing the college frontiers and ability to further your potential competitive aspects and prospects, I should say, rather, towards becoming a potential pro. yeah, great showcase, not just from him, but you also got to give shout-outs to players like Infinite who find themselves kind of in the same boat. I mean, especially considering that Infinite and Bink have played together for so long, it feels like now at this point.
Yeah, for that to be able to accumulate, not only to be able to get a college education, but to also be able to compete at a high level. Because, again, when you're thinking about it, when you're looking at what we just had as far as the top 3 teams, the competition was so stiff across the board. Being Infinite, I mean, you definitely got to be feeling just something in the air when it comes down to what they've been able to piece together throughout Cold War. Certainly going to be excited to be able to see what they're going to do in future years.
Well, with that in mind, we've got to look back over all of the great moments that we were just treated to thanks to our friends at Nelnet. It's the Nelnet Grand Finals recap in case you missed any of the action. Enjoy. Hold on a second. Now you kind of wish you would have had that glide bomb. Bink's going to have to try to lock this down from the back. Help from Radial over the mid cross. Bink for the double.
Clear away dubsteps. Now you know where these at least one more player is located at if it might make the play.
Here we go. Kills are coming through. It's a 10v3. You just need one clear for your base state. That's it. Rex on the corner. Gets finished off by Infinite. Second make of progress on the way. Drugsy and Silly has to go quickly. Shut down by Infinite. One more on the corner. It's Pistols and Northwood. Punch through another offensive win and go up 2-0. Nate is back on his Modern Warfare self. Moving darn quick. And then the shot doesn't miss a single bullet. Oh my goodness. What just happened to Phantoms? Are we even allowed to show that on broadcast? He just got absolutely destroyed. And all of a sudden, Northwood are up 4 lives. You only have to kill off another 40 seconds worth of time. And there's just no entry for Bay State.
Fame on 6. Be massive to get a glide bomb going into the next few rounds. And wouldn't you know it, find Silly from window to opposite window. Oh man, you're down to 20 seconds remaining. Bay State got to battle out of the spawn and get on one of these zones.
Yo, somebody trade this guy. 8 in a row. Oh, Kevin! 9-1! Double digit spree! And Fame continues to dominate this grand finals. Phantoms gets a double to re-break back on through, and that is key time as Bay State keep chugging away. Possibly on cruise control to 250. Even being able to fight over on this rotation from the front. Northwood is able to put anything together. Cut on rotation. It's Rex for a triple. There's going to be highlight after highlight on both sides of every single map, and we got that. But with that in mind, I mean, a lot of that reel was essentially a montage for Fame. It's easy for us to say, I think, just at least verbally, your MVP for CCL, first time on LAN. What the? It's going to be Fame, of course, none other. He was just untouchable in this grand final series.
Untradeable at certain moments of time. You go back to that Berlin on Control, was absolutely untradeable. Man put back-to-back sprees together. Yeah, surely didn't find all of the value with the streaks in the world this weekend, but when you're shooting like that, yeah, Kev absolutely deserved. He's been playing out of his mind since this game has launched.
Well, with that in mind, we say farewell. Vanguard now done and dusted. That's a close on Season 4. And, of course, we have to give massive shout-outs for all of this happening in location in the Belong arenas. Big shout-outs to all the support from Esports GG, Belong, Nelnet, CPL, and, of course, Fandom, who's provided a lot of fun with the trivia. And, of course, if you want to catch up with the bracket, I imagine that the COD Gamepedia section of the COD Fandom will have all of this updated in pretty much no time. I'm sure Pally Boys are already editing it right now. Let's be honest.
Pally Boy's probably sitting there writing up the article. He's probably halfway through it, man. Yeah, that's. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be here. It's a fun group of individuals that were able to put all of this together. Obviously, yes, when we're sitting on camera, you just see me and Alan. There's a whole production crew back there. We got social medias. Everybody at eFuse has been absolutely chipping in to make this event a 10 out of 10 experience. I cannot wait for the next one.
Yeah, we have to wait now.
This is weird.
I hate this.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of those things. It's just like we wait
easier
until January, and then it's like, wow, we got 6 months worth of CCL. It's going to be a long stretch, and all of a sudden it's over. We'll see. Of course, we've got a lot of stuff coming in the off-season period. Most importantly, as everyone starts to look forward over to MW2, registration information is coming live here very soon as far as when signups will open. But as mentioned, that shuts the book on Season 4 of College COD. The last time we sit out here and say, till next point, make sure you keep holding it down. Bye-bye.